Chapter 3743. Chapter 3743. Fugitive 2. Chapter 3743. Fugitive 2. Old Mrs. Gao pointed at her son. What did you say? What did you just say? Gao Mingjiang frowned. Mother, you've crossed the line. We didn't have much food with us when we ran away. As for what we're eating now, it's all from me. He was telling the truth, and no one dared to contradict him. His other brothers and sisters-in-law had wanted to side with the old lady, but they felt rather guilty when they heard this. Old Mrs. Gao was shocked. Her son's words were like a slap on her face. Mingjiang, what's that supposed to mean? Gao Mingjiang looked at his mother and said seriously, Mother, if you hadn't made such a scene, I wouldn't have bothered, but if you really want to go there, we can split the food among the branches and go our own way. We don't have to stay together. I'll only protect my wife and children. Mother, if you want to come with us, that's fine. As for the others, it's none of my business. Everyone looked at Gao Mingjiang in astonishment. He was going to abandon his brothers. Mingjiang, what's that supposed to mean? Mingjiang, how could you do that to your brothers? Mingjiang. Everyone panicked a little. It was common knowledge that Gao Mingjiang was the head of the 30-member team. If it hadn't been for Gao Mingjiang, they would have been killed 100 times by now, because he was the one who knew where to go and how to find food, water, and avoid bandits. Because of that, they wouldn't let go of Gao Mingjiang. The second son of the Gao family tried to mediate the situation. Mingjiang, Mom didn't mean it. Don't be mad. Don't take it to heart. The third was also trying to persuade Gao Mingjiang. In the end, the eldest son showed up with a stern look on his face. He frowned at Gao Mingjiang. Mingjiang, don't bring that up again. Mom's still here. Are you trying to separate the family? That's enough. Gao Mingjiang smirked. Everything will be fine if you people have nothing to do with Xiaoshu and Sonya falling into the river yesterday. But if you do, of course, it has nothing to do with them. Old Mrs. Gao said hastily. Gao Mingjiang snorted and didn't say anything else. Just then, someone spotted Feng Wu and cried out. Feng Wu cleared her throat. Are you having a row? I'll come back later. The third son's wife turned around and smirked when she saw that it was Feng Wu. The quarrel would never have happened if it hadn't been for the girl. She stared at Feng Wu. Didn't you leave just then? Why are you back? Feng Wu pointed at the sack in her hand. I didn't leave. I just want to get something. Feng Wu could open up her ring space now. She didn't have any medicine or toxins left, but she had put a lot of supplies in it. She had only thought about keeping them there as a precaution, and they came in handy right now. Feng Wu found the worst sack and the worst rice and flour. When I was lying in the cave, I saw someone burying something in the mountain, so I went to dig it out. Chapter 3744. Chapter 3744. Fugitive 3. Chapter 3744. Fugitive 3. Feng Wu found an excuse for herself and went on. I'm going to Northern Yin with you. I can't leave empty-handed. I'm not a freeloader. The third son's wife smirked at Feng Wu. You little beggar, are you saying that you're not a freeloader? She wasn't the only one sneering at Feng Wu. Food was scarce at the moment, and with the famine everywhere, every morsel of food was very expensive. No one wanted to take this little beggar with them. Old Mrs. Gao glared at Feng Wu. We're not taking you. Just forget about it. However, the next second, Feng Wu picked up a corner of the sack and began to pour out the contents. It was flour. It was pure white flour. As a matter of fact, Feng Wu still had all kinds of good rice in her ring space. They were much more expensive than the flour, but she couldn't take them out now. The flour alone was eye-catching enough. Ah! Everyone cried out enviously when Feng Wu threw the flour onto the ground. White flour. Isn't that white flour? There's no coarse grain in it. How many pancakes can we make with it? I want egg noodles. I want a poached egg on the thick noodles. I want some dumplings. Everyone was drooling. Immediately, all eyes were on Feng Wu. Feng Wu asked the old lady, What do you think of this flour? Old Mrs. Gao was so excited that her legs trembled. Even in peaceful times, they still could only have dumplings on special occasions and couldn't afford to eat them on a daily basis. This world belonged to the cultivation masters. Common folks like them could live happily for a whole year just by eating some noodles. What? What did you say? The eldest son estimated that the flour had to weigh at least 50 kilograms. A lot of flour had been smeared with mud. The silly girl had poured the flour all over the ground. Old Mrs. Gao was so heartbroken. Feng Wu smiled at old Mrs. Gao. Well, I'm only saying that I can feed myself with flour. Can I join your team and go to Northern Yin? Yes, of course she could. When the old lady saw the flour, she knew that it was hers. Even if it wasn't, she had to make it happen. Ahem. Granny Gao put on a long face. Why do you want to team up with my family? Feng Wu smiled bitterly. I only have this bag of flour, but I don't have any company. There are so many people on the road, and I can't take all the food to Northern Yin all by myself. But you have a lot of people. It'll be safer for me to go with you. Old Mrs. Gao snorted. I see that you know what you're doing. Since you're so eager to join us, we'll have all the flour. Feng Wu was about to nod when Gao Mingjiang frowned. Wait, old Mrs. Gao was about to jump into the flour pile when she heard what her son said. She was furious. Was he trying to sabotage her plan? Gao Mingjiang glanced at her and said, the flour has to be at least 50 kilograms. They use the same metric system here as in the Zhenwu Empire. Chapter 3745. Chapter 3745. Fugitive 4. Chapter 3745. Fugitive 4. Old Mrs. Gao shielded the flour and stared at Gao Mingjiang. What do you want? Gao Mingjiang said casually, Miss Feng is sick. I need to leave some for her. No, old Mrs. Gao refused right away. Gao Mingjiang smirked. No, mother, do you know how much this white flour is worth? How about I let her join another team? No, the old lady was exasperated. She threw a dirty look at Gao Mingjiang. This son of hers was taking the side of an outsider. She was so mad. Gao Mingjiang went up to them and filled an empty sack with 15 kilograms of flour. Old Mrs. Gao pressed a hand to her chest and cried out, That's enough. That's enough. Feng Wu wanted to tell them that she still had more, not to mention that she could buy food everywhere when they got to Northern Yin. However, Uncle Gao was doing her a favor, so she didn't say a word. Gao Mingjiang filled the bag with 25 kilograms of flour, put it in front of his wife, and said, Make these into pancakes. They'll be Miss Feng's food. Gao Mingjiang was about to say something when the old lady rolled into the flour. Yes, she was lying inside, regardless of the fact that they needed to eat that food later. No, no, no. I can't let you take any more of it. If you do, I'll smash my head into this rock. You'll be killing your mother. Gao Mingjiang looked at old Mrs. Gao in resignation before turning to Feng Wu. Feng Wu smiled. I'll use the rest as my payment for tagging along. What do you think? The old lady felt she was going to faint. Feng Wu was now much more pleasing to the eye than her heartless fourth son. Sure, sure, the old lady nodded repeatedly. Seeing all the flour, Li was elated as well. Without another word, she was already making the pancakes. As for old Mrs. Gao, with the help of her daughters-in-law, the old lady rose to her feet. However, she was covered by flour now. The old lady couldn't part herself from the food. When she opened her eyes, she saw her third daughter-in-law hiding flour in his sleeve. How dare you steal my flour? Go away. The old lady was exasperated. She picked up a stick and lashed it at her daughter-in-law, who immediately ran away. After chasing her daughter-in-law away, the old lady called after her other two daughters-in-law. What are you waiting for? Do you know how valuable these flour are? Put in a bag. It was indeed very precious because one couldn't buy food with money now. The two wives immediately packed the flour for her. By the time they had filled most of the bag, there was only a thin layer of flour mixed with mud on the ground. The second daughter-in-law looked at the old lady. The old lady threw a dirty look at her. What are you looking at? Scrape the soil up and put it in the water. The flour will float and the soil will settle down. How can you be so dumb? You didn't even think of that. The two daughters-in-law did as they were told. If the old lady hadn't said anything, they would have licked the flour clean as well. Feng Wu was helping Li with her cooking at the moment, and she was rendered speechless when she saw how much the old lady loved the flower. You can eat it when it's covered in dirt. Li chuckled. You have no idea how precious flower is nowadays. She sighed at Feng Wu after that. Feng Wu was confused. Why are you sighing? Li smiled bitterly. It's not worth it. Chapter 3746. Chapter 3746. Fugitive 5. Chapter 3746. Fugitive 5. Feng Wu chuckled. It's worthwhile. I won't be able to protect so much food anyway. Li agreed with her. It's just that I feel sorry toward you when you had to give away so much nice flour. Both sides were making pancakes. Because of Gao Mingjiang's words, Li was making pancakes out of pure wheat flour, but not the old lady. Wheat flour was such a precious commodity that the old lady couldn't bring herself to make plain flour pancakes. She had mixed some corn flour, sorghum powder, and other coarse grains into the flour, and there was a big bowl of the mixture. They didn't have much time to rest and cook because they had been moving as fast as they could. No one knew when the plague would arrive or when the Southern Yin Kingdom would catch them. Li made 300 pancakes with about 30 kilograms of flour, and she was exhausted. However, her eyes lit up when she saw all the pancakes, for food meant they could live. Li put the pancakes into a sack once they cooled down and handed the sack to Feng Wu. Feng Wu shook her head. I can't carry that much. Please keep it for me. I'll get it from you when I need to eat. Li also realized that Feng Wu was going to sit in their carriage. So she nodded and helped Feng Wu put the pancakes in the carriage. Feng Wu looked curiously at the 3 carriages. From their conversation, she could tell that they were all ordinary farmers. Having a cow was already supposed to be a big deal, but the Gao family had 3 carriages. Seeing that Feng Wu was perplexed, Li explained to her with a smile. My husband found them. Seeing that Feng Wu was confused, Li whispered in her ear and told her about their most dangerous journey. As it turned out, they ran into bandits a few days after they left the Southern Yin Kingdom. The bandits were attacking a large family, and many of them were killed or injured. Both sides were well matched in strength and lost about the same number of people. In the end, the bandits killed the last member of the family, but they didn't have many men left either. Gao Mingjiang took the lead, killed the remaining bandits, and took the 3 carriages. As for the wealth of that family, it wasn't that they didn't want to take them, but that family had set their chests on fire before they died. But with these 3 carriages, we can travel much faster. It was supposed to take us 10 days to get here, but it only took us 3 to 4 days. Feng Wu asked, Are carriages only twice as fast? We smiled bitterly. It would have been much faster, but there are so many of us here, and we can't fit all 30 people inside. The elderly and children can take the carriage, together with all the food we have. The carriages are packed to the brim. As for the adults, we still have to walk on foot. It was almost noon when a young man came to inform them that they were leaving in 15 minutes. Feng Wu recognized the man. Li told her, This is Gao Mingkuan, my husband's 5th brother. Feng Wu nodded. Gao Mingkuan looked at Feng Wu and found the little beggar familiar. He narrowed his eyes. Have we met before? Feng Wu's stomach lurched, and she said indifferently, Really? I don't think so. Li immediately said, Mingkuan, you must be mistaken. Miss Feng has been sick in the cave this whole time. I don't think you've ever met her. Chapter 3747. Chapter 3747. Fugitive 6. Chapter 3747. Fugitive 6. Gao Mingkuan didn't reply. He only left after giving Feng Wu one last look. Fearing that Feng Wu would be frightened, Li tried to calm her down. Don't be afraid. Mingkuan is usually very kind. He's not that scary. He's just trying to intimidate you. Feng Wu realized that Li was the kindest person she had ever met. Patting her chest, Feng Wu coughed a little. Li smacked her forehead. How could I forget? You're still sick. Get in the carriage now. Feng Wu was indeed going to get into the carriage and have some rest. She didn't even dare to use her spiritual essence to repair her body, because she had a feeling that if she activated her spiritual essence, the Dongsang man with the silver mask would lock onto her. Feng Wu didn't know what kind of ability it was, but she had a hunch. Feng Wu was pushed into the carriage, and there was indeed a lot of stuff inside. There were coarse grain, dried rations, buckets, and some clothes. With Feng Wu inside, the carriage was almost full. Soon, Xiaoshu and Sanya were brought in as well. Feng Wu moved back to make some room for them. Feng Wu sighed inwardly at the musty smell of the bedspread. She hoped that she could get away with it this time. Soon, they arrived at the checkpoint where Feng Wu had lined up the day before. The roads were still heavily guarded, and the atmosphere was very tense. "Miss Feng, please come down." After taking the two children out, Li reached out to help Feng Wu. After lying down for a while, Feng Wu had recovered a little, and the pain in her chest wasn't as bad anymore. She feigned a confused tone. "What's going?" There was a long line ahead, and Feng Wu estimated that it was at least hundreds of meters long. Because of the meticulous inspection, the line didn't move forward for a while. Li whispered to Feng Wu, "I heard from my husband that the Yuan territory is right ahead of us. It's off limits." Feng Wu had heard of the Yuan territory before. There was a no-man's land between the southern and northern Yan. The terrain was either tall mountains or dense forests. Neither side cared about it, and the land had remained deserted. Li was equally confused. "Why is there an inspection? Are they stopping us from going to the other side?" Feng Wu knew why they were stopped. Princess Rao wanted to catch her. Just then, Gao Mingjiang came back, and Li waved at him. Before Gao Mingjiang could reach Li, she asked anxiously, "What happened? What happened?" Gao Mingjiang smiled bitterly. "I heard that they were looking for a wanted criminal, but they didn't tell me who the person was." Li frowned, looking concerned. "Why is this happening? What do they want?" Gao Mingjiang tried to appease her. "Don't worry. It has nothing to do with us. We just have to be careful." By the way, Gao Mingjiang looked at Feng Wu in frustration. "Miss Feng, do you have your travel permit and identification?" Seeing that Feng Wu was dumbfounded, Li patted Gao Mingjiang on the shoulder. "Miss Feng is a beggar now. How can she have a travel permit or proof of identity?" Gao Mingjiang was speechless. Li suddenly clapped her hands. "Fengya, the daughter of my sister, is 13 or 14 years old, and she's as slim as Miss Feng. How about we let her take Fengya's place? What do you think?" Chapter 3748. Chapter 3748. Fugitive 7. Chapter 3748. Fugitive 7. Gao Mingjiang realized that this was the only way, so he gave Feng Wu an inquiring look. Feng Wu nodded. Gao Mingjiang went to tell the other members of the Gao family so that they wouldn't make any mistakes if they were asked. Everyone knew who Fengya was. All they needed to do now was to treat Miss Feng as that girl. Gao Mingjiang stared at his third brother's wife. The woman had tried to do some damage because she resented Feng Wu for taking too much flour. Gao Mingjiang looked around before turning to his sister-in-law. "If one of us makes a mistake, all 30 members of the Gao family will die." Everyone felt a chill run down their spine. "Of course, if you don't want to do that, we can split up now," Gao Mingjiang said indifferently. "We're going to stick together. I'll do whatever Mingjiang says. This family has to stay together. Miss Feng is Fengya. They have similar names. She's our Fengya." Granny Gao looked around and said coldly, "If anyone dares to make a mistake now and incriminates everyone in the Gao family, I won't forgive them even if we're safe later. I'll feed them to the dogs." Everyone was scared, especially the wife of the third son. Both Gao Mingjiang and old Mrs. Gao was giving her threatening looks. She smiled obsequiously. "Mother, you're right." Luckily, they were so far away from the others that other members of the family didn't hear them. After that, they went back to the line. It was their turn 4 hours later. Feng Wu noticed that the cliff was right ahead of them. The cliff was only wide enough for one carriage, and they had to go through it to get to northern Yan. The pursuers had chosen the right spot. The same two people sat there with stern faces and brooding eyes. They kept their gazes on each person in turn. Moreover, Feng Wu realized that they would summon the leader of each group. As expected, a soldier walked up to them and asked coldly Who's the leader here? Everyone looked at Gao Mingjiang. Gao Mingjiang stepped out at that moment and smiled obsequiously at the soldier. As he spoke, he put a silver ingot into the soldier's sleeve. After weighing it in his hand, the soldier was satisfied with the size of the silver ingot, and his attitude improved a lot. Follow me. The soldier led Gao Mingjiang to a remote corner, took something out of his chest pocket, and showed it to him. Have you seen this person on your way here? Gao Mingjiang's stomach lurched when he saw the portrait. He recognized the person in the painting. It was his savior. That was the girl who had saved Xiaoshu and Sonya from the river. She was wanted. It was obvious that the soldier wasn't just any ordinary man. He stared at Gao. Mingjiang, you've met her before. Luckily, Gao Mingjiang had seen enough of the world to be able to stay calm in a tense situation like this. Of course, I haven't. Then why do you look stunned? The soldier stared at Gao Mingjiang. Gao Mingjiang smiled bitterly. She's so pretty that no one can resist her. Weren't you amazed the first time you saw her face? Chapter 3749. Chapter 3749. Fugitive 8. Chapter 3749. Fugitive 8. The soldier gave Gao Mingjiang a sidelong glance. But he didn't know what to say, because he had been astonished by the girl's beauty as well when he had first laid eyes on her portrait. No man could resist her face. You really didn't see her? The soldier's face darkened. Gao Mingjiang smiled obsequiously. She's too beautiful to be forgotten. I'm sure of it. The soldier didn't believe Gao Mingjiang. He asked around and saw that everyone shook their heads in bewilderment. The soldier was secretly disappointed. Gao Mingjiang lowered his voice. Who's in this portrait? Is she a criminal? Of course, the soldier wouldn't tell him. He only snorted. If you don't tell the truth, you'll all be decapitated. Everyone nodded obediently. The soldier snorted and left with the drawing. Feng Wu saw the portrait in the soldier's hand. Little Phoenix was right. They were indeed looking for her, but they didn't dare to do it openly and were only asking around in secret. That was to say, Princess Rao and her brother might not be in the same boat. Feng Wu felt much better at that thought. Soon it was their turn. Everyone passed the checkpoint in order. Old Mrs. Gao went through first, followed by each branch of the family. Gao Mingjiang had already handed in the Gao family's household registration booklet, so everyone was waiting for their name to be called. You're my niece. Don't worry. Li was a little scared, but she still tried to comfort Feng Wu. Feng Wu was touched. In fact, what she did could easily bring harm to the Gao family, especially Li. However, she had been so kind to her when they were total strangers. When the soldier reached the fourth branch of the family, he saw that there was an additional member next to Li. Who is she? The soldier frowned when he saw the sallow girl, whose clothes were in rags. Li tugged at Feng Wu, telling her to bow. She's my niece and was living with us when the plague broke out. Because of the emergency, I took her with me when we escaped from Gao village in Maple Forest City. Gao Mingjiang went up to them as well. The soldiers had received Gao Mingjiang's silver before, so they didn't try to make things difficult for him. They nodded and were ready to let them pass. Everyone was about to heave a sigh of relief when they heard the sound of hooves. It was so loud that many people were attracted by it. 3 horses quickly arrived, led by a girl wearing a red cape. She was a pretty girl with an air of nobility about her. One look at her, and everyone fell silent. Kneel, on your knees. With a whip in his hand, the soldiers lashed down at the people behind them. Feng Wu tugged at Li to dodge the whip. Otherwise, she would have been hit for nothing. Li asked in a trembling voice, "Who's that?" Someone said, "What a grand entrance. Is she the princess?" Feng Wu glanced at the girl in the red cape and shook her head inwardly. That didn't seem to be the case. But the others believed that conclusion. The 2 junior spiritual overlords on either side of the checkpoint turned to look at the girl in the red cape. Chapter 3750. Chapter 3750. Adventure 1. Chapter 3750. Adventure 1. The 2 junior spiritual overlords on either side of the checkpoint turned to look at the girl in the red cape. Miss Saixia, the spiritual overlord on the left, nodded at her. Although he didn't get up, it was enough to show his respect. Saixia had no intention of dismounting. She glanced at the spiritual overlord and asked casually, "You still haven't found her?" "Not yet." The junior spiritual overlord shook his head. "Useless." Holding her whip, Saixia glared at the junior spiritual overlord. "Keep your eyes open. If you let that person go to the Northern Yin Kingdom, you'll know what the princess will do to you." After that, she rode off without looking at the others. She was here to warn these people. It was indeed very effective. Everyone held their breaths when she arrived, but after she left, they didn't even dare to breathe loudly either. Feng Wu thought to herself, "It seems that Princess Rao wants to stop me from entering the Northern Yin Kingdom and going to the capital. But why? What's her purpose? Would her appearance affect the princess's interests in some way? Or had Master Linghu known all along and sent her to the Northern Yin Palace on purpose?" Feng Wu was a little confused. However, she knew the time and place, so she decided to go. She wanted to see what was going on. "Go, now." Seeing the look on the spiritual overlord's face, the soldiers knew that he had been humiliated by the princess's senior maid and was in a foul mood. He reminded Gao Mingjiang in a low voice, "Just go." Gao Mingjiang took the hint right away. He cupped his hands at the soldier and said, "Thank you." He left with his wife and children after that, and Feng Wu followed him. Gao Mingkuan was quick-witted as well and jumped out like a fish. They didn't dare to take a carriage and all walked as fast as they could. At that moment, they heard a loud noise behind them. They wanted to look over their shoulders, but Feng Wu whispered, "Run, it's dangerous." Hearing that, the others didn't dare to look back. They only had time to look over their shoulders when they reached the corner of the plankway. One look and their hearts raced. The spiritual overlord was furious after being humiliated by Miss Saixia, and everyone behind them was in trouble. The spiritual overlord was attacking the ordinary people like a madman. Thump, thump, thump. Hearing the three loud sounds, Feng Wu deduced that the spiritual overlord had made 3 strikes. He was a spiritual overlord. The people queuing up in front of him were defenseless commoners. How could they withstand 3 strikes from him? Hence, a large group of people fell to the ground. Many of them were beaten to a pulp. Oh God, they couldn't believe their eyes. Were they really all ants? Would they become cannon fodder as soon as a big shot lost his temper? Feng Wu sensed a cold gaze looking in her direction. It was obviously the furious junior spiritual overlord. She whispered, "Stop shouting. Let's go. Otherwise, that spiritual, the powerful man is going to kill us." The others were amazed at first, but they shuddered when their own lives were in danger. Chapter 3751. Chapter 3751. Adventure 2. Chapter 3751. Adventure 2. Let's go. Just like Feng Wu, Gao Mingjiang also sensed the man's bad mood, so he grabbed his wife and children and ran as fast as he could. The others trusted Gao Mingjiang the most. Seeing that he was running as fast as he could, they ran as well. The spiritual overlord snorted when he saw the family running away. "Good for you." After venting his anger, the spiritual overlord went back to his cultivation with his eyes closed. Not only were they cultivating, but they were also sensing the spiritual essence of these people. Feng Wu should have been detected, but she had been ruthless to herself and destroyed her own cultivation ability. No one could detect it because she was a cripple now. The Gao family rode for tens of kilometers before they stopped in a wide meadow to catch their breath. Oh my God, old Mrs. Gao still hadn't calmed down. She smacked her thigh and cried. "Those people behind us are all dead. How can they do this to people like us?" No one answered her because they were still in shock. In the end, Gao Mingjiang heaved a long sigh. Things have always been like this. You just didn't see it when you were in the village. Everyone fell silent. Gao Mingjiang didn't say anything either, for he was still thinking about the portrait, and he wondered what his savior had done. How should he repay her? "Brother Mingjiang, I didn't know you still had any silver ingot left. Gao Mingquan, who hadn't said anything, suddenly spoke. Only then did the others realize that Gao Mingjiang had given away a silver ingot. Old Mrs. Gao realized it as well. I have all our money. Where did you get the silver ingot? Did you stash it away? Gao Mingjiang frowned. His second, eldest brother glanced at him. Mingjiang, I don't think that's a good idea. We're still living in the same room. Even if you earn some money of your own, you have to give it to Mother. Why did you have it to yourself? None of your other brothers has done such things. Plus, our eldest brother is like a father to me. Even if we have used that kind of money, it has to be from him. Their eldest brother's face darkened. Old Mrs. Gao stared at Gao Minzians. Exclaimed herself. Was she going to interrogate him now? Gao Mingjiang almost lost his temper. Gao Mingquan was so angry that he laughed. Mother, brothers, what's that supposed to mean? If Brother Mingjiang hadn't reacted in time and handed that soldier some silver, that soldier would never have warned us. If he hadn't reminded us out of kindness, we would all have turned into a pulp by now. A silver inglow should be the last thing on your minds. His second eldest brother said, It's not like we won't let him give the silver away, but we never knew he had such a big chunk. Are we still his brothers or not? Fengwu shook her head in resignation. These people just couldn't do it. Once they were a little safer, they would start fussing over the money. They were still too close to the checkpoint. If they made too much noise, the spiritual overlords would know. Therefore, Fengwu had to step out. I lent the silver to Uncle Mingjiang. Fengwu glanced at the old lady. Chapter 3752. Chapter 3752. Adventure 3. Chapter 3752. Adventure 3. There are 10 tales in total. Uncle Mingjiang said that he would pay it back himself, but since you're all one big family, why don't you pay it back together? After all, I've saved over 30 lives. Gao Mingjiang didn't expect Fengwu to step out now, but she was a smart girl. Fengwu and Gao Mingjiang looked at each other and knew what to do next. Gao Mingjiang heaved a long sigh. Little Feng, we've agreed that we'll keep it a secret. I'll pay you back when I earn some money. Why do you have to? Fengwu waved him off. Uncle, I know we're good friends, but we still need to settle our accounts. It'll be a very long time before we get to Northern Yen alive and settle down. You'll then be able to earn some money. Maybe I'll starve to death by then. Isn't it your family's money? I don't understand. Why do you have to pay it back all by yourself? Fengwu turned to old Mrs. Gao. Mrs. Gao, you heard me. That's what happened. Give it to me. Give you what? The old lady was a little flustered. Fengwu looked at her in bewilderment. 10 taels of silver. Aren't you the head of the Gao family? You said so yourself, and I heard it with my own ears. It's the right thing to do. Pay up. Old Mrs. Gao was furious. She was talking about 10 taels of silver, not 10 copper coins. If her third son hadn't brought it up on purpose, she wouldn't have. At that thought, she glared at her third son. Not only was the old lady staring at him, but his 2 older brothers were staring at him as well. The third son wanted to cry, but no tears would come. Mother, brothers, Gao Mingjiang said to old Mrs. Gao, Mother, that's what happened. I was worried about the burden on us, because we're poor, but since things have turned out this way, Mother, please give the money to Miss Feng. Over my dead body, I don't have any money. Holding her bag, old Mrs. Gao wouldn't pay up. Fengwu rolled her eyes at the old lady. You'll have to pay me back sooner or later. She then went back to Gao Mingjiang's carriage. Gao Mingjiang gave his mother a resentful look. From now on, I won't be bothered to do such things. I'll only take care of my own family. That's it. After that, he went up to the carriage, patted the board, and told the 2 kids, get in. Li had always been an obedient wife. She picked up Sonia first, then Xiao Shu. She then told Fengwu, Miss Feng, please get in. Fengwu nodded and climbed into the carriage. Gao Mingjiang and Li sat in the driver's seat. Old Mrs. Gao was exasperated. What's that supposed to mean? What are you doing? Gao Mingjiang ignored her and was going to start the carriage. His brothers panicked, as did their wives and children. They had been able to get here in one piece because of Gao Mingjiang. If he left without them, then, at that moment, They heard wolves howling in the distance. The third son was almost in tears. He ran up to the horse and said to Gao Mingjiang, Mingjiang, Mom was only angry, and she didn't mean it. Please don't take it seriously. The second son nodded immediately. That's right. Come down from your carriage. Why are you leaving in the middle of the night? Get back here. Chapter 3753. Chapter 3753. Adventure 4. Chapter 3753. Adventure 4. The eldest son was still pulling a long face and acting like a father. He didn't say anything. Gao Mingjiang sneered. We're spending money together, but I'm the only one paying back the money? Do you think that's reasonable? No, of course not. Fearing that his brother was really gone, Gao Mingjiang's second eldest brother panicked. He turned around and glared at his mother. Unfortunately, she didn't take the hint. The eldest son didn't know what to do. He was supposed to be the boss of the family, but everyone listened to Gao Mingjiang. The second son was dropping so much hint with his eyes that his eyeballs were about to have cramps. Finally, his mother realized what he meant. She looked at her eldest son inquiringly. Should she pay up? The eldest son was so frustrated. He didn't want to part with the money. It just so happened that without Gao Mingjiang, they wouldn't know where to go next. So, it's only 10 taels of silver, isn't it? Since Mingjiang borrowed it, just pay up. The eldest son stormed off after that. Old Mrs. Gao rolled her eyes at Feng Wu. You're just a beggar. Where did you get the money? Did you steal it? If the girl had stolen the silver, why should she give it back? No. Feng Wu smirked. I have some flour, too. Did you think I stole it, too? You ate it, so spit it out now. The old lady said. The sharp-tongued girl was infuriating. Sonia looked at Feng Wu in admiration. Sister Feng was amazing. Her grandmother was the most unreasonable and vicious-tongued grandmother. Usually, she would make Sonia and her mother so frustrated that they couldn't retort. But now Sister Feng was so glib. The girl's eyes lit up as she stared at Feng Wu. Old Mrs. Gao was furious, but Feng Wu wasn't done yet. She stared at the old lady and said, I don't have to travel with you, all right? Now, give me back my money and the pancakes. I'm leaving. The pancakes. Immediately, the daughters-in-law and their children panicked. They had been enjoying the show, but now their cheese had been touched. Mother, look. The wife of the eldest son had always considered herself a kind woman. She stepped out and helped the old lady to her feet. Everyone, please calm down. She smiled at Feng Wu. Mom didn't say she wasn't going to give it back. Kiddo, don't worry. Let's talk like civilized people. The other daughters-in-law of the Gao family chimed in as well. They all tried to persuade the old lady to return the money. Didn't they care about the money? Of course they did. Each family would get 2 taels of silver if the money was divided, but they were fugitives and money couldn't buy food at the moment. Her eldest daughter-in-law whispered something in the old lady's ear, and the old lady's eyes lit up. Finally, she gave Feng Wu 10 taels of silver. She glared at Feng Wu. Just this once. Lend it to Mingjiang again, and I won't pay you back. Feng Wu took the silver and nodded. I won't lend Uncle Mingjiang any silver, even if I have to watch you die. The old lady was furious. Meanwhile, Gao Mingjiang's brothers were trying to talk Gao Mingjiang out of it. Mingjiang, look, hasn't Mom given the money back to the girl? Come down here. The brothers had never been so friendly before, but now they were helping Gao Mingjiang off the carriage. Chapter 3754. Chapter 3754. Adventure 5. Chapter 3754. Adventure 5. Gao Mingjiang knew when to stop. I guess I'm not completely innocent. I shouldn't have given the silver to that soldier. It's all my fault. I won't do it again. His brothers blanched. If he hadn't given the soldier the silver. No, you didn't do anything wrong. Mingjiang, you've done a great job this time. Gao Mingjiang only smiled bitterly, obviously hurt. An idea struck the second eldest brother, and he told old Mrs. Gao, Mom, give Mingjiang 10 taels of silver. Old Mrs. Gao's eyes popped. That was all the money her family had. Her second son walked up to her and took 10 taels of silver from her. Mom, which is more important, the silver or your sons and grandsons? The old lady was speechless. In the end, 10 taels were taken away from her. The second son stuffed 10 taels of silver into Gao Mingjiang's hands. Brother, here's some silver for you. If something like this happens again, just use them whenever you find necessary. Our life is more important. Gao Mingjiang forced a smile and said, "It's late. Let's boil some hot water and eat some pancakes. We'll get some rest and leave early tomorrow. It's still dangerous here. The further away from here, the better." Yes, only then did his brothers relax. The second son grabbed the third son away. They walked to a corner, and the second son slapped his younger brother. The third son was furious. "Good job," said the eldest son. "Brother," the third son protested. The eldest son slapped his brother as well. 10 taels of silver. You just can't keep your mouth shut. He walked away after that. The second son also cast a stern look at his younger brother. "I know you and your wife don't like Mingjiang, but we can't leave this place without him. You'll have to figure it out yourself." He stormed off after that, leaving the third son behind. He was just jealous of Gao Mingjiang and had only said those things in passing. Why did everyone slap him? Just then, the old lady jumped up and slapped him as well. "Mom!" The third son stared at his mother in disbelief. His mother had always doted on him. 20 taels of silver. I just gave away 20 taels of silver for nothing. Shut up from now on. Old Mrs. Gao stormed off. The third son was really crying now. Meanwhile, the fourth branch of the Gao family was enjoying themselves. Gao Mingjiang had deliberately stopped his carriage at the outermost area, so as to keep watch for the others, but in fact, he didn't want to get too close. They had built their own campfire and were sitting around, boiling water and warming themselves. "Thank you." Gao Mingjiang sat down opposite Feng Wu and mouthed those words. Feng Wu chuckled. Gao Mingjiang was such a smart guy. "Sister Feng, you're amazing. You talked back to Grandma and won." Sonia went on worshipping Feng Wu. Feng Wu rubbed her head. Due to malnutrition, although Sonia was 10 years old, she still looked like a 7-year-old. Her hair was as yellow as straw. Feng Wu chuckled. "Your grandmother is just unreasonable. If you're with reason, you can win all the arguments." In the end, Feng Wu asked, "You're living such a miserable life. Why haven't you split up with the other branches?" Once they were separated, Feng Wu could hunt some wild game for Gao Mingjiang's family. All the pancakes were simply too bland. Li smiled bitterly. "Do you think we don't want to do that?" Chapter 3755. Chapter 3755. Adventure 6. Chapter 3755. Adventure 6. "Do you think we don't want to?" "It's just we can't." Li smiled bitterly and pointed at the old lady. "Every time we brought it up, she threatened to kill herself. We could never succeed." Feng Wu rubbed her chin. "It's really hard to do it while we're still seeking refuge. But those people were indeed her burdens." Li smiled bitterly. "It's all fate. What can we do? All right, kids, go to bed. We still have to travel tomorrow morning." After that, Li took out the only bedroll in the carriage and laid it out in the lee of the wind so that Feng Wu and the 2 children could get in. "What about you?" Feng Wu asked. Li waved her off. "We'll just sleep on the ground for the night. You little ones can easily catch a cold. We adults will be fine." Feng Wu didn't know what to say. No matter what Feng Wu said, Li insisted that they take the bedroll, and Feng Wu couldn't turn her down. Feng Wu sighed as soon as she was under the duvet. "Why are you sighing? You're too young to do that. You'll grow into a little old hag." Little Phoenix teased her. Feng Wu's eyes lit up. "You're awake." Although Feng Wu had lost her cultivation ability, she still had Little Phoenix. It was injured, but it could still fly and ask around. That was to say, it hadn't lost much of its ability. Seeing this, Little Phoenix knew that Feng Wu was going to give it trouble again. It gave Feng Wu a resigned look. "What do you want from me?" Feng Wu said, "I need to go with them, at least as far as the northern Yin Kingdom. It'll take us at least another 10 days. The further north we go, the colder it gets. I can barely stand it myself." let alone them. Little Phoenix looked at Feng Wu in resignation. Do you want me to bring back a bedroll? It was doable, but how are you going to explain the extra bedroll? Feng Wu rubbed her chin. I don't need you to bring back a bedroll. Look around and see if you can find any houses. Make it look like we're just passing by, and I'll buy an extra one. If you can't find any houses, just make it look like someone has left it there, and I'll pick it up. Little Phoenix mimicked Feng Wu and nodded. All right, they won't see me anyway. Little Phoenix was soon out of sight. Give me some more supplies. Feng Wu reminded Little Phoenix in her head before she went to bed. Little Phoenix rolled its eyes at Feng Wu. It was just a little bird. Not only did it have to find the bedroll, but it also had to prepare the supplies. There was so much to do. However, at the thought of Feng Wu's pathetic state, Little Phoenix felt sorry for her. This family was very poor, but because of that, they were too poor to be spotted. Little Phoenix spent a lot of effort to find a bundle, 2 old duvets, and some rice, flour, and oil. It even prepared a bow. That way, Feng Wu could shoot arrows. Little Phoenix had painstakingly prepared everything and put them on top of an old tree. After everything was ready, it flew into Feng Wu's sleeve and told her everything. Feng Wu smiled and went back to sleep. She woke up early the next morning. The Gao family was so poor that they couldn't afford breakfast. Chapter 3756. Chapter 3756. Adventure 7. Chapter 3756. Adventure 7. The Gao family was so poor that they couldn't afford breakfast. Therefore, they got up early in the morning, cleaned themselves up, and got into the carriage. They went as far as they could. They didn't have a chance to stop for lunch until noon. At noon, they were almost at the spot Little Phoenix had pointed out. Feng Wu held her stomach. What's wrong? Seeing the change in Feng Wu's expression, Li asked in concern. Feng Wu said, It's nothing. Li said, I can tell by the look on your face. Are you hungry? Feng Wu chuckled. Teehee. Li was amused. She realized that although the girl wasn't very pretty, she was very likable. Mingjiang. Lady Li came out of the carriage and whispered something in Gao Mingjiang's ear. Their carriage led the way, and Gao Mingjiang nodded at his wife's words. It's indeed almost noon. It's time to take a break. He raised a red flag, and the carriages behind him stopped as well. They stopped and started cooking. Feng Wu was a member of the 4th branch of the family, and the branches took turns doing chores every day. Today, it just happened to be their turn to gather firewood. Feng Wu already knew that. After they got off the carriage, Feng Wu took the 2 children from the 4th branch. Xiaoshu, Sanya, let's go get some firewood. Li said, Why are you 3 kids picking up firewood? I'll go get it. Of course, Feng Wu wanted to go. If she didn't go, she wouldn't be able to pick up her provisions. Hence, Feng Wu suggested, Let's go together. Li said, I can go with you, but you have to behave and stay where you are. It's dangerous up there. What if a wolf comes out? Feng Wu nodded immediately. The 2 kids nodded as well. Only then did Li relax a little. The wife of the 3rd son arrived at that moment. Seeing that they were going to fetch some firewood, she suggested with a smile, Sister-in-law, how about you stay here with the kids to make lunch, and I'll go fetch some firewood? She wanted to make it up for what her husband did the day before. Picking up firewood was much more tiring than cooking. Li hesitated. Feng Wu turned her down with a smile. Aunt, I was going to take a look in the woods. What if I catch a wild rabbit? Oh my. Hearing that, Lady Gu almost burst out laughing. You're such a braggart. How could you catch a wild rabbit? I'll kneel down in front of you if you can find an egg. The others all looked in that direction. After all, they had been out in the wild for so long and didn't have much chance to eat meat or fish. They couldn't stand the mention of wild rabbits. I'll take a walk in the woods too. The 3rd son ran into the woods as soon as he heard that. The 2nd son said, Brother, wait for me. The eldest son frowned and shouted, Be careful. Don't go too deep. Come back if you can't find any rabbits. All right, the 2 brothers said in the distance. Your stuff is that way. They're heading for it. Little Phoenix was anxious. Let's go before they take it away. I've painstakingly collected everything myself. It couldn't be too new or too old. That was so hard. God knew how many houses it had to visit to find everything. As for stealing, how could it be considered stealing? It had done as Feng Wu said and left behind a silver ingot. Everything was bought. Chapter 3757. Chapter 3757. Adventure 8. Chapter 3757. Adventure 8. Hearing that, Feng Wu took the two kids' hands and headed for the woods. According to Little Phoenix, in order to let Feng Wu pretend that she found the bundle by accident, it didn't hide the bundle very well. When Feng Wu and the kids walked into the woods, the two men were already gone. Feng Wu ignored them and headed for her destination. There were quite a few fruit trees in the woods, and there was even a persimmon tree covered with ripe persimmons. Persimmons. Sonia was the first to notice it, and she was so excited that she tried to climb up the tree. Lee noticed it as well. She immediately took off her outer robe and spread it out on the ground to hold the persimmons. They were so close to the edge of the woods that everyone outside could hear them. Persimmons? Hearing the noise, the wife of the third son tossed the wok to her sister-in-law and rushed in. Seeing that Lee had taken off her outer robe, the third daughter-in-law took off hers as well. They had been wearing all the clothes they had, so taking off a layer didn't really matter. As she picked, the third daughter-in-law shouted at her three sons, Jinju, Inju, and Tongju, "Do you want some nice persimmons or not? Give me a hand." Unfortunately, most of the persimmons had been destroyed by the wind and rain, and only a few were still edible. While they were picking the persimmons, Feng Wu said, "I'll go have a look and see if I can catch a pheasant or a hare." Lee smiled bitterly. "You're making things up again. Don't go too far." Feng Wu nodded. "I'll walk around and get some firewood." Only then did Lee agree. As the third daughter-in-law fought over the persimmons with Lee, she teased the latter. "Sister-in-law, your niece is so funny. Why did she have to look for a rabbit instead of picking all the persimmons? Huh? What kind of rabbit can she possibly find? Even if she can find it, will she be able to catch it?" Lee was a little displeased, for she really thought of Feng Wu as her niece now. The third daughter-in-law was elated to see that Lee was upset, and she said deliberately, "Sister-in-law, she's such a poor girl. She's brought so much bad luck to you all." Lee threw a dirty look at her sister-in-law. "That's bullshit." Her sister-in-law said, "I'm not. Look at her ragged clothes. She looks like a beggar. She can't have a good life. I'm telling you." Just then, they heard a surprise cry a short distance away. It was Feng Wu. "What's going on? What's going on?" Thinking that Feng Wu had been bitten by a snake, Lee slid down the tree and tripped. It hurt. Lee was almost in tears, but the girl's safety was at stake, and she couldn't care less about the pain. She shouted, "Mingjiang, Mingjiang, come here." She ran toward Feng Wu as she shouted, so fast that her shoes flew off. "Mom, Mom." Her two children followed her in a hurry. However, the third daughter-in-law panicked a little. Was there a snake over there? Well, she wouldn't go then. That was so scary. Now that Lee was gone, all the persimmons were hers. Hence, she went back to picking the persimmons. Lee panicked when she saw that Feng Wu wasn't there. Little Feng. Lee was worried sick. Hearing her voice, Feng Wu stuck her head out of the tree. "Aunt, I'm right here." Chapter 3758. Chapter 3758. Adventure 9. Chapter 3758. Adventure 9. Seeing Feng Wu sitting on the tree, Lee felt her knees buckle, and she almost fell to the ground. "Are you all right?" Lee was still anxious. Feng Wu waved at him. I'm fine. Hearing that, Lee let out a breath of relief. At the same time, she wanted to grab the girl and spank her. "Why did you scream? You're scaring me out of my wits." Lee pressed a hand on her chest and gasped for air. The two children imitated her and patted their chests. Their faces were ghastly pale. Feng Wu smiled and raised the rabbit. "Look, what's this? Wow, it's a gray rabbit. It's so fat. Let's roast it." The two kids' eyes were twinkling, and they were almost drooling. What? A rabbit. After picking the last persimmon, the third daughter-in-law was about to leave when she heard this. She quickly walked toward Feng Wu and saw the rabbit in her hands. Oh my! She shuddered and almost fell to the ground. There really is a rabbit. Feng Wu looked down at her. What did you say when we were outside? The third daughter-in-law said, What did I say? Feng Wu chuckled. You said even if I found an egg, you would kneel in front of me. I'm ready. Kneel. The third daughter-in-law was speechless. Li was amused. What are you talking about? Get off the tree. Feng Wu tossed the hair to Gao Mingjiang and told Li, I can't come down yet. Li asked anxiously, Why can't you come down? Feng Wu pointed at something over her head. There's something over there. I'm going to have a look. Everyone followed Feng Wu's gaze. But from their angle, the leaves were so dense that they couldn't see anything. The third daughter-in-law said to Feng Wu, You're already very lucky to have a rabbit. Do you expect to find gold or what? Feng Wu ignored her and jumped up the tree like a cat. Although she had lost her spiritual essence, she was still strong enough to handle the tree. When she was 10 meters away, she grabbed something and shouted, Out of my way! I'm going to throw something down. Was there really something in the tree? Everyone moved away when they heard that. With a thump, Feng Wu threw the bundle on the ground. Because Feng Wu was dozens of meters above ground, and the ground was damp, the impact left a mark on the ground. A bundle? Why is there a bundle on the tree? The third daughter-in-law couldn't believe her eyes. Immediately, all eyes were on Feng Wu. Feng Wu looked equally confused. I was just trying to catch a rabbit, but it was quick-witted. It jumped into a tree, so I climbed up here to catch it. That's when I saw the bundle. I wonder what's inside. That was right. It was wrapped up tight. What was inside? Is it something bad? Something that can get people killed? The third daughter-in-law couldn't stand it when other people weren't better off. She gave Feng Wu a sympathetic look. Little Feng, you'd better move back. What, there's a dead body inside? Chapter 3759. Chapter 3759. Adventure 10. Chapter 3759. Adventure 10. Feng Wu seemed genuinely frightened. Aunt, don't say that. The third daughter-in-law glanced at Feng Wu. I'm telling the truth. Some people don't bury bodies properly and just put them up on trees. Why did you have to take it down? You're so evil. Feng Wu feigned a frightened face, took a step back, and hid behind Li. Li looked like a mother hen protecting a chicken. She threw a dirty look at her sister-in-law. Stop talking nonsense. What if you scare the children? All 3 children were ghastly pale. Just then, the Gao family heard the noise and rushed in. What's going on? What's all the noise? The eldest son glared at the others. The third daughter-in-law said, I'm so glad you're here. You could be the judge. Isn't she a bad girl? She pointed at Feng Wu as she spoke. Someone hid a dead body in a tree, but this girl rushed over and threw it down. It fell to the ground. How can anyone be so wicked? She's just a little beggar. Infuriated, Li wanted to hit the woman. Old Mrs. Li flared up and glared at Feng Wu. How dare you touch a dead body? Don't you know that it'll poison us if it's been dead for too long? Your hands are dirty. If you touch our food, we'll be poisoned to death. The third daughter-in-law nodded. Mother, you're right. She's so ill-bred. Feng Wu glanced at the mother-in-law and daughter-in-law. Great. That was what she had been waiting for. They had walked into a trap on their own. Who told you it was a dead body? I pinched it just then, but it wasn't a dead body. Feng Wu feigned a weak voice. Who told you it wasn't a dead body? How could anyone put such a big bundle on a tree? What else could it be? The third daughter-in-law wouldn't believe it. Right now, she had her hands on her waist and was ready to go all out. We'll know what's inside after we open it. Gao Mingjiang glanced at his mother and sister-in-law. Old Mrs. Gao smirked. No matter what's in there, it's Feng's. Whatever bad luck it is, it's hers. Lady Gu nodded. That's right. We can't let that girl ruin our family's good luck. Feng Wu frowned. I think there's something good inside. The third daughter-in-law smirked. Good stuff? That's hilarious. Granny Gao was still thinking about the 20 taels of silver, and she was furious at Feng Wu. Even if it's gold and silver, the Gao family won't take anything from you. If it's bad luck, I hope God won't blame it on the Gao family. After that, she cast a stern look at her sons. Dig a hole in the ground. Dig a hole? Why? Everyone looked at her in bewilderment. Old Mrs. Gao glared at her third son. Didn't your wife tell you? There's a dead body inside. Bury it. After that, she turned to leave. Gao Mingjiang didn't know what to say. They hadn't even opened it yet, and they were already talking about dead bodies. Without another word, he unwrapped the bundle. The contents spilled all over the floor. Ah! The third daughter-in-law screamed. Chapter 3760. Chapter 3760. Surprise 1. Chapter 3760. Surprise 1. Ah! The third daughter-in-law screamed. Everyone jumped at her voice. They were astonished when they saw what had rolled out of the package. The bedroll. It's so thick. And what's this? Rice. Fine rice. What's that? There's a bow. And everyone was astonished when they examined everything. Before they knew it, everyone had gathered around. There are so many of them. Where did they come from? Old Mrs. Gao was the first to react and try to take them away. Seeing the old lady run toward the bundle, her other 3 daughters-in-law all take off, trying to outrun the old lady. The old lady was furious. Get out of my way. This belongs to the family. Stop trying to take it. I'm not dead yet. Fengwu gave him a half-smile. Gao Mingjiang frowned and shouted, Stop it. He was the most capable man in the team. Moreover, he was infuriated, and his voice frightened everyone. Everyone fell silent. Old Mrs. Gao was a little scared of her 4th son as well, so she turned to Gao. Mingjiang, what are you doing? Gao Mingjiang stared at the old lady. Is that yours? You can't take it. Old Mrs. Gao wouldn't have it. Of course it's mine. Didn't you find it? What's yours is ours. Li almost laughed. But we don't own it. The old lady glared at her. Shut up. You have no right to speak here. Li felt aggrieved. Despite her grievance, she toughened up and said, Why can't I say anything? Miss Feng found it, so it has to be hers. No one is allowed to take it away. Of course, the old lady wouldn't accept it. But before she could say anything, Gao Mingjiang spoke again. My wife is right. Miss Feng found the bundle, so everything is hers. No one is allowed to take anything from her. The old lady wouldn't admit it. But isn't she ours now? Li was so angry that she laughed. How can she be ours? She's only pretending to be my niece from my mother's side. The old lady didn't know what to say. She had made up an identity and thought that it was real. The old lady said, She's teamed up with us before. Li said, She's paid you for your service. If that doesn't count, just spit out all the flour you ate. That woman, old Mrs. Gao wanted to slap Li. Li smirked. Go ahead. I dare you. Touch me, and my husband will split up with you. We'll go our separate ways. She had never been this tough before, but for some unknown reason, she felt that she shouldn't have been bullied like this when Fengwu was around. Miss Feng was right. Kind? Why bother? She didn't want to make other people happy anymore. At that thought, she glared at old Mrs. Gao and wouldn't give in. Old Mrs. Gao was a little frightened. Why was her daughter-in-law, who used to be so easy to bully, so angry all of a sudden? She couldn't control Li anymore. Just then, the 3rd daughter-in-law mumbled something. Chapter 3761. Chapter 3761. Surprise 2. Chapter 3761. Surprise 2. Just then, the 3rd daughter-in-law mumbled, Stop saying the bundle belongs to the girl. I think you just want it for yourself. She wasn't loud, but Li heard her. Li smirked. We're still one family. If I take the bundle, you'll only take advantage of me. I'm not that stupid. The 3rd daughter-in-law said, You. The 3rd son didn't want the quarrel to go on, fearing that Gao Mingjiang would say that they were going to split up and abandon them. So he tried to smooth things over. Fine. It's just a few things. There's no need to argue. We're all family here. How about this? I'll give all the big pieces to Mingjiang. As for the condiments, Mother will be in charge of them. I went through a lot of trouble to find those things. Little Phoenix shouted in Feng Wu's ear. How dare these people take it? Slap him. Feng Wu smirked and said, You can take half of the condiments. I'll take everything else. No one is allowed to take anything from me without my permission. Although Feng Wu didn't have any spiritual essence now, she was still very intimidating when she exerted her power. In the end, most of the things were moved to Gao Mingjiang's carriage. Rabbit, fat rabbit. Xiaoshu and Sanya almost jumped to their feet. Come, let's roast some rabbits. Feng Wu led them to where the stove was set up. Gao Mingjiang went to the creek, washed the rabbit paper, and handed it to Feng Wu. Feng Wu then smeared a layer of honey on the rabbit. As for where it came from, of course, it was in the big bundle. The rabbit was roasted with honey, and the aroma filled the air. The fourth branch of the family had its own stove, and the rest of the family shared a bigger stove nearby. The aroma soon filled the air. Other people might be able to stand it, but the third daughter-in-law couldn't stop complaining. Why are they eating rabbits, and we're eating plain pancakes? I won't have it. Old Mrs. Gao was equally frustrated. The others weren't too happy either. However, Feng Wu only glanced at them and showed no intention to share the food with them. She divided the rabbit into 4 parts. One for herself, one for Gao Mingjiang, one for Li, and one for the 2 children. There wasn't much meat left after the entrails were removed, and the meat had shrunk significantly after it was cooked. Therefore, the rabbit in Feng Wu's hand was only the size of her palm. Gao Mingjiang looked over his shoulder and sighed when he saw how eager his mother was. He went up to old Mrs. Gao and said, Mother, you can have mine. The others thought that the old lady would at least pretend that she didn't want it. But in fact, the eldest son, who hadn't eaten meat for a long time, snatched the meat out of Gao Mingjiang's hand and said coldly, You're useless. Is that all you got? The other 3 families had a lot of children. Gao Mingjiang smiled bitterly and cursed himself for being so stupid. It had been a while since he ate meat, and he had just been scolded for sharing. He shook his head and went back to the fire. As for how to split the rabbit, it was up to old Mrs. Gao. After Gao Mingjiang went back, Li and the 2 children felt sorry for him. Gao Mingjiang patted their hands. Don't worry, Mama's always been like this. Li said grumpily, I can't control my temper anymore. Gao Mingjiang smiled bitterly. We'll see when we get to our destination. Nothing can be predicted while we're on the road. Chapter 3762. Chapter 3762. Fright 1. Chapter 3762. Fright 1. Li nodded. She knew what Gao Mingjiang meant. We haven't settled down in the northern Yin kingdom yet, and we don't know if we'll live or die. She heaved a long sigh, her eyes filled with sorrow. Both children gave their mother concerned looks. Sensing their uneasiness, Li rubbed their heads and smiled bitterly. You guys should eat now. We'll be on our way when you're full. Sanya asked, Mom, will we be in danger? Before Li could say anything, Gao Mingjiang said, Dad's here. There's no danger. Just eat and sleep. Everything will be fine when we get to northern Yin. Sanya and Xiaoshu nodded solemnly. Seeing that Sanya had stopped eating after 2 bites, Li asked, Why won't you eat? With a solemn look on her face, Sanya said, Mother, we don't know how dangerous this journey will be, and we don't know if we'll have anything to eat in the future. I want to save my food and take another bite when I'm starving. Honey, Li sighed and pulled Sanya into her arms. Things will get better. We'll have enough food and warm clothes when we get there. It was late autumn, and the air was colder in the middle of the night. Gao Mingjiang's family was better prepared. They used to have 2 bedrolls, but because the other families didn't have enough bedding, the old lady took one of them and gave it to her 3rd son. Before Feng Wu arrived, Gao Mingjiang's family had been shivering on there. 1. 5 in bedding. The 2 children slept in the middle, while Li and Gao Mingjiang, who had been sleeping on either side of the bed, were mostly exposed. Now that Feng Wu had found a new bedroll, she took the 2 kids and shared bed. Li and Gao Mingjiang shared another. Everybody slept well now. The family found a leeward spot behind a big rock and were ready to sleep when they heard footsteps. Sister-in-law. It sounded like the second daughter-in-law, who didn't talk much. Feng Wu yawned and thought to herself. Sonya, who had been sleeping soundly in Feng Wu's arms, woke up right away and was on the alert. She looked like a bristling cat. Xiao Shu was alarmed as well. Feng Wu looked at them in bewilderment and asked in a low voice, "What's wrong?" Throwing her arms around Feng Wu, Sonya asked nervously, "Sister Feng, are we going to lose our bed?" In the dark, Feng Wu saw that Sonya was looking at her nervously, and so was Xiao Shu. Feng Wu was confused. "How could someone take our bed?" Sonya said, "Can we keep our bed then?" She knew by now how capable Sister Feng was. Even her grandmother wouldn't be her match. Feng Wu nodded. "Of course. Why should we give our own bed to someone else? What should we sleep on?" In order to avoid detection, Feng Wu had destroyed her own cultivation and was too weak to withstand the cold. The two kids nodded immediately, their eyes twinkling. By then, Li had left with her sister-in-law. They didn't go very far because it would be dangerous. That distance was enough for Feng Wu to hear their conversation. After praising Li's family, the second daughter-in-law went on crying about how difficult it had been for them. In the end, she turned to Li for help. "Sister-in-law, there's nothing else I can do. Otherwise, I wouldn't have." Chapter 3763. Chapter 3763. Fright 2. Chapter 3763. Fright 2. I really have no choice. Otherwise, I wouldn't have come to beg you at this hour. The second daughter-in-law said anxiously, "Sister-in-law, I know you don't have much either, but there are so many people in my family, and we only have one bedroll. We don't have enough duvets for the children alone, but you have two." Li frowned. Before, she was a cowardly woman, but after the near-death experience with her two children, and after seeing how tough Feng Wu was, she had unknowingly become tougher. She used to never say no, but now, she shook her head. "Sister-in-law, as you know, I don't have much either." Her sister-in-law said, "I know, but you can turn the duvet sideways. That'll cover you all." Li frowned. "Sister-in-law, what are you talking about? There aren't just the four of us. Feng is with us too. How can she sleep in the same bed with me and my husband? You're talking nonsense." The second daughter-in-law said, "She's just a little beggar. We're not family. You don't have to." "Sister-in-law," Li scolded her. "She's my niece, not an outsider. Moreover, we've given away a bedroll already. Why should we give away another one? I won't have it." Her sister-in-law was a little displeased. Li waved her off. "You don't have to say another word. I'm not lending you anything." She then turned to leave. They raised their voices this time. So many people heard them. So, it really was about the bedroll. Many people thought to themselves. The look on the second daughter-in-law's face kept changing as she watched Li leave. However, the anger soon disappeared from her face, and she went up to the old lady with a smile. When she walked past Gao Mingjiang's family, she smiled at the others and seemed to be in a great mood. However, Sonya grabbed Feng Wu's hand anxiously, as did Xiao Shu. After she left, Sonya and Xiao Shu looked nervously at Feng Wu. Feng Wu smiled. "No one could take away what's ours. Don't worry." A few steps away, the third daughter-in-law smirked at her husband. "I told you already. Your second brother's wife isn't as simple as she looks. Look how capable she is. She can ask for a bed with a wave of her hand." Her husband threw a dirty look at her. "Shut up. Have you forgotten? Who did you take that bedroll from? The one we're sleeping in now belongs to Mingjiang." Her wife cringed and didn't dare to speak, fearing that her bedroll would be taken away. Just then, the second daughter-in-law went up to the old lady, who had been angry at the noise, but the second daughter-in-law was able to appease the old lady with a few words. The old lady frowned and stared at her. "Are you sure?" The second daughter-in-law nodded. "I saw it. It's really 2 meters long. It can fit a lot of people. Mom, look at my 7 children. They're all freezing. If there's a 2-meter-long duvet, they'll be able to get through. Mom, what do you think? The old lady rolled her eyes at her daughter-in-law. You know what Leah's like now? She's so tough that she can talk back to me. The second daughter-in-law cajoled the old lady until her head swam. Mom, all 7 of them are your grandchildren. Chapter 3764. Chapter 3764. The Row 1. Chapter 3764. The Row 1. Mom, my 7 children are all your grandsons and granddaughters. The second daughter-in-law gave the old lady a pleading look. Old Mrs. Gao didn't like Gao Mingjiang's family to begin with, and she was infuriated by her second daughter-in-law's provocation. She rose to her feet and grabbed a stick as thick as her arm. Gao Mingjiang had made it for her so that it would be easier for her to walk around. Bring out the 3 boys. Leaning on a stick, old Mrs. Gao walked very fast. The second daughter-in-law was secretly elated and immediately had her 3 boys follow the old lady. The 3 boys didn't like the idea at first, but their mother whispered in their ears, telling them that there were warm duvets in the 4th branch. It was late autumn, and they were in the middle of nowhere. Everyone was freezing, and the 3 boys couldn't stand the cold. They all ran toward the old lady. By then, old Mrs. Gao was standing next to Gao Mingjiang's family. Gao Mingjiang's family must have heard all the noise, but no one wanted to talk to the old lady and wanted her to leave as soon as possible. As a result, Gao Mingjiang ignored her. Old Mrs. Gao couldn't stand her son's attitude, so she hit the bedroll with her stick. She couldn't bring herself to hit her son, so she hit Li instead. Gao Mingjiang shielded Li with his own body. With a thump, the thick stick hit him on the back. Mom! Gao Mingjiang had a temper as well. He threw a dirty look at the old lady. What are you doing in the middle of the night? Are you going to let us sleep or not? Seeing that she had hit her 4th son, the old lady felt a little guilty, but she flared up when she saw what Gao Mingjiang was doing. Sleep? I want to sleep, but you won't let me. After that, the old lady told the 3 boys of the 2nd branch of the family, "Do you see that bedroll? You can sleep there." She turned to leave after that. Seeing the warm bed, the 3 boys cried out in joy and rushed toward it. The old lady smirked inwardly. If Li wouldn't lend the bedroll, she could just let the boys sleep here. She would let them freeload off Gao Mingjiang's food and finish all the flour. Both Xiaoshu and Sonya looked furious. Dad! Mom! The 3 boys were tugging at the duvet, but so were Xiaoshu and Sonya. It was obvious that the 2 kids weren't the 3 boys' match, and they were almost in tears. Li was exasperated and yelled at the 3 boys. What are you doing? Let go of the duvet. The old lady struck down at Li with her thick stick. This is the Gao family's business. It's none of your business. Let go of the bedroll. Seeing that a fight was about to break out over a bed, Feng Wu was speechless. She really didn't expect that they would quarrel over a bed. Little Phoenix didn't know what to say. On second thought, Feng Wu realized that surviving in this vast wilderness was probably their biggest problem. It was precisely because of this that the people monitoring the sky and trying to find her would never expect that she would be in such a team, which was why she was safe. Feng Wu had wanted to kick the 3 boys away, but she didn't plan to do that now. With Gao Mingjiang around, he would definitely protect his wife and children. As expected, Chapter 3765. Chapter 3765. The Row 2. Chapter 3765. The Row 2. As expected, Gao Mingjiang grabbed the thick stick and bellowed at the old lady. Mother, what are you doing? After that, he snatched the stick from the old lady and threw it at the 3 boys. They all burst into tears when they were hit by the stick. Dad, Mom, my uncle is killing us. Help! The old lady was shocked by what she saw. Her 4th son, Gao Mingjiang, had never been obedient, but he had never been this merciless either. Go away! Gao Mingjiang tossed the 3 boys to their father, who had just arrived. Mingjiang, the 2nd eldest son, was furious. What kind of uncle are you? Gao Mingjiang smirked. I'd like to know what kind of father you are. You lost your bedroll, so you've been asking my family for everything all the time." His brother blushed. That was indeed the case. They didn't have much money to begin with. Moreover, they were in such a hurry that they didn't bring many belongings with them when they took off. As a result, they had to rely on Gao Mingjiang for almost all their expenses on this trip. However, yours is the Gao family's, isn't it? You don't own anything. Old Mrs. Gao glared at Gao Mingjiang. Gao Mingjiang smirked. "I'll leave without taking anything, then. I don't want anything. I'm leaving this family." "No." Old Mrs. Gao refused outright. Gao Mingjiang was in charge of everyone's well-being and safety, and he wouldn't be allowed to leave. The other brothers shook their heads as well. Gao Mingjiang smirked and told his wife, "Pack up. We're leaving tonight." Li was bewildered, but she still followed Gao Mingjiang's order and started moving the things into the carriage. Feng Wu was amused. These people were so unreasonable. Since they all depended on Gao Mingjiang, why did they pick on him all the time? Did these people think that Gao Mingjiang wouldn't abandon them just because they were his mother and brothers? They were too confident in themselves. Feng Wu felt sorry for Gao Mingjiang. Soon, everything was packed. Li walked up to Gao Mingjiang and tugged at his sleeve. Gao Mingjiang looked at old Mrs. Gao, who was so angry that her face was livid. She stared at Gao Mingjiang. "Are you really leaving?" Gao Mingjiang nodded. "I have to protect my wife and children because no one else will." Old Mrs. Gao asked, "What about your mother? Are you going to leave me behind?" Gao Mingjiang said, "My 3 brothers can look after you." Old Mrs. Gao said, "No, they won't." Feng Wu snickered. The old lady knew perfectly well how unreliable her other sons were. Gao Mingjiang remained unperturbed. Seeing the determination in her son's eyes, old Mrs. Gao panicked for no reason. It was as if she had lost her faith. Old Mrs. Gao burst into tears. "Gao Mingjiang, how could you do this? How could you abandon your mother? How could I have such an unfilial son? If I had known, I would have drowned you in the toilet. You heartless man." Old Mrs. Gao pounded her chest and stomped her foot, rolling around on the ground. Gao Mingjiang gave her a long look and suddenly dropped to his knees. Chapter 3766. Chapter 3766. Leave 1. Chapter 3766. Leave 1. Gao Mingjiang gave her a long look and suddenly dropped to his knees. Thump, thump, thump. Gao Mingjiang kowtowed 3 times, then jumped into the carriage. Hiya! Gao Mingjiang drove the carriage away. What? The Gao family was dumbfounded. Gao Mingjiang had mentioned several times that if they picked on his family again, they would go their separate ways, but no one believed him. They thought he wouldn't leave them behind. Even if he would abandon his brothers and sisters-in-law, he would never abandon his mother. But now, Mom, Mingjiang is gone. Seeing that the old lady was still standing there in disbelief, her second son rushed over, grabbed her by the shoulder, and shook her. "Mom, wake up." For a moment, everyone was shouting at her. Only then did old Mrs. Gao come back to herself. She was frustrated when she saw that the carriage was only a black dot in the dark. "So be it. We'll do just fine without him." The old lady smirked. "We don't need to follow them. Just let them go. We won't die without them." She sat down on the ground and snorted. Realizing that Gao Mingjiang had really abandoned them, the others were angry as well. They snorted and said, "Mother is right. So be it. I'm sure we'll be fine." After that, they all went back to bed. "Brother," the second son looked at his older brother guiltily. The oldest son patted him on the shoulder. "Brother, it's not your fault. Mingjiang is heartless." The third son nodded as well. "That's right. How can he do that? He's so protective of his wife and children. Aren't our children his nieces and nephews? He's so selfish." "Stop it." An angry voice broke the silence. Everyone looked up and saw that it was Gao Mingkuan. His eldest brother glared at him. "Gao Mingkuan, what are you doing?" Throwing a rod over his shoulder, Gao Mingkuan smirked. "I'm going to find my brother." "How dare you?" This eldest brother glared at him. None of the other 3 could fight. If Gao Mingkuan was gone, No one would be able to protect them. Gao Mingquan snorted and wanted to leave. However, old Mrs. Gao stopped him with teary eyes. Mingquan, are you leaving me as well? Do you not care about me anymore? Gao Mingquan frowned. Mother, it's not that I don't want to look after you, but you've crossed the line. Brother Mingjiang has been doing everything for us this whole time. We've been eating his food and spending his money. Mother, why did you take all the money from him and insist on keeping it to yourself? Is that even fair? Of course it's fair. Old Mrs. Gao smirked. He's my son, so he has to work for me. What's his belongs to the family. So what if we all use it together? If I don't take the money from him, your other brothers will starve to death. The other sons all nodded. Old Mrs. Gao said, if he's so capable, it's only natural that he looks after his brothers and their children. Chapter 3767. Chapter 3767. Leaving too. Chapter 3767. Leaving too. The other sons nodded again. Gao Mingquan was furious. You leeches. You've been feeding him money without even saying thank you. My brother is right to leave. I wouldn't give you a dime if I were him. I'm leaving too. Gao Mingquan stared at them. All his 3 older brothers were lazy, hypocritical, and selfish. They took advantage of Gao Mingjiang and never appreciated his kindness. I'm leaving too. Gao Mingquan stormed off. You're not leaving. You can't leave. Her brothers and sisters in law grabbed him in unison. Without Gao Mingjiang, they could only count on Gao Mingquan. If even Gao Mingquan abandoned them, they wouldn't be able to survive. Mother, the second daughter-in-law, tugged at the old lady. Old Mrs. Gao found her second daughter-in-law quite annoying at the moment. Had it not been for her, Gao Mingjiang would never have left. But under the circumstances, the old lady didn't have time to blame anyone. She stared at Gao Mingquan. Are you leaving? If you do that, I'll kill myself in front of you. But Gao Mingquan only smirked. This wasn't the first time that the old lady had threatened to kill herself. Every time Gao Mingjiang wouldn't do as she said, she would threaten him with that. Gradually, Gao Mingjiang became distant from his mother. Anyway, she was all bark and no bite. Gao Mingquan didn't think much of it and still wanted to leave. Old Mrs. Gao gritted her teeth. She recalled how decisive Gao Mingjiang had been when he left, and the thought pained her. Somehow, she summoned up her courage and cried out. Thump! She smashed her head into a wall nearby. Mom! The second daughter-in-law only cried out after the old lady smashed her head into the rock. She could have stopped the old lady in time. With what had happened to the old lady, everyone turned around in a hurry, only to see blood gushing out of the old lady's forehead. The eldest son smacked Gao Mingquan on the head. Are you trying to kill? Mom. Mom, please don't die. The second daughter-in-law rushed over and threw her arms around the old lady. Old Mrs. Gao was actually fine. She was about to scold Gao Mingquan when her second daughter-in-law whispered something in her ear. The old lady immediately changed her mind and pretended to be very weak. Mom's breathing is very weak. She's dying. Her second daughter-in-law shouted at Gao Mingquan. Gao Mingquan rushed to her side. Mom. Old Mrs. Gao opened her eyes and gave Gao Mingquan a long look. She only said, Mingquan, I want to see your brother one last time. Tears rolled down the old lady's cheeks as she spoke. Gao Mingquan was flustered. He had thought that the old lady was only putting on an act, but I'll go get him now. Gao Mingquan jumped into a carriage and dashed off. Old Mrs. Gao only sat up after Gao Mingquan left. Everyone looked at her. Old Mrs. Gao snorted. Did he think he could take off with his little family and leave all of us behind? In his dreams. That's right. The third daughter-in-law nodded. Don't even think about abandoning us. We're his responsibility. However, no matter how long the old lady waited, Gao Mingquan never showed up. A few hours passed. They woke up at dawn, but Gao Mingquan still hadn't come back, nor had Gao Mingjiang what was going on. Chapter 3768. Chapter 3768. What's going on? 1. Chapter 3768. What's going on? 1. What is going on? However, old Mrs. Gao and the others couldn't care less about Gao Mingquan now, for they had run into some new trouble. Because while they were sleeping, a group of people were sneaking toward them. Boss, I've figured out. They have 2 capable sons, but they're nowhere to be found. That family is very vulnerable now. The speaker was a young man. He had approached the 3rd daughter-in-law of the Gao family, pretending to be weak. He then gave her a steamed bun and got everything he needed to know from her. He knew Gao Mingjiang was gone. Gao Mingquan had gone to look for him, and everyone else was very upset. The young man named Mo Ping told everything to his leader. They were a team of bandits that had entrenched themselves in Flying Tiger Mountain. They used to be from good families, but because they couldn't survive in the wilderness anymore, they turned into bandits and robbed passersby in this area. However, there weren't many of them, so they only robbed small groups. If a passing group seemed tough, they wouldn't dare to make a move. Have you gathered all the information? Is it correct? The leader stared at Mo Ping. Mo Ping grinned. Boss, I handed a woman a steamed bun, and that stupid woman told me everything. They're a family. There's an old lady, her 5 sons, and their wives and kids. The 2 youngest sons are the most capable ones, but they're gone. The rest of them are all useless. Good. Boss Ding patted Mo Ping on the shoulder. If you succeed this time, you'll be rewarded. Mo Ping asked excitedly. Boss, can I have a horse? Why not? With a wave of his hand, Ding said, follow me. There were only over a dozen or so bandits, and they carefully made their way toward the Gao family's campsite. Had it been any other day, someone would have kept watch, and Gao Mingjiang would have arranged everything. But now that Gao Mingjiang was gone, no one else was there to give instructions. They went to bed, snoring loudly. Seeing that the members of the Gao family were fast asleep, Mo Ping looked at Ding and made a throat-slitting gesture. Should I cut their heads off? That was what Mo Ping meant. Ding pondered for a moment. He couldn't help but recall how intimidating Gao Mingjiang was, and he shuddered. If we don't wake them up, we'll grab the thing and leave. If we wake them up, we'll kill them. Ding decided not to go too far. The others nodded in agreement. They weren't born criminals, so they didn't try to kill anyone. The members of the Gao family were fast asleep. They didn't even wake up when the carriage was driven away, let alone the horses. Someone cried out, stop. It was Gao Mingquan. Not only did he frighten Ding and his men, but it also woke up the Gao family. Who's there? What's going on? The eldest son didn't like being woken up. By then, Gao Mingquan had dashed off with a stick. The robbers have taken the carriages. Stop them. Robbers? The carriages? The sleepy members of the Gao family woke up from their reverie. They were dumbfounded when they saw what was going on. Chapter 3769. Chapter 3769. What was going on? 2. Chapter 3769. What was going on? 2. They were astonished when they saw what was going on. The carriages carrying all their luggage were gone. Gao Mingquan was chasing after them. In front of Gao Mingquan, a group of people were driving the carriages away. They were moving so fast that Gao Mingquan couldn't keep up. Those people seemed to be very pleased with themselves, and they all turned around to show off. The robbers. Only then did the members of the Gao family realize that they had been robbed. Our carriages. Food. All our food is there. And everything we've saved. And the silver. Without the carriages, how are they supposed to travel? How are they going to survive without food? Without money, what would they do from now on? Even old Mrs. Gao's silver was in the carriage, so she ran as fast as she could. She shouted at the top of her lungs as she ran, asking the carriages to stop. The other members of the Gao family finally heard her scream. They ran as fast as they could and shouted the same thing. They tried everything from threats to bribes, but to no avail. Not only weren't they going to give back the carriages, but half a dozen people even jumped out and surrounded Gao Mingquan, beating him up. We're taking these carriages. If you don't want to die, get lost. In the end, Mo Ping kicked Gao Mingquan, jumped into the carriage, and left with the others. Gao Mingquan curled up to protect his head and internal organs. He was injured in many places and even had a broken bone. He lay on his stomach and couldn't even move a finger. He could only watch as the group of people rode off in their carriages until they turned into black dots in the distance. By then, the Gao family had finally caught up with him. Seeing Gao Mingquan lying on the ground, the second son was worried sick. He bellowed at Gao Mingquan, "Where are our carriages?" Immediately, everyone gave Gao Mingquan accusing looks. Gao Mingquan was covered in wounds, and it was so painful that he couldn't utter a word. The second son shouted at Gao Ming, "I'm talking to you. Where are the carriages?" Gao Mingquan shook his head. "They've taken the carriages away. Gone." The second son was furious. He pointed at Gao Mingquan and scolded him. "How could you let the carriages get stolen? Do you know that they contain everything we have?" The third son shouted anxiously, "There's food up there. We've saved up so much. How are we supposed to proceed without a carriage? Are we going to walk on foot?" Poor Gao Mingquan. He was so angry that he could barely breathe. At that moment, his sisters-in-law finally arrived with old Mrs. Gao. Hearing that the carriages had really been taken and that everything was gone, the old lady was so furious that she fainted. "Mom!" The second son steadied the old lady and scolded Gao Mingquan. "Mingquan, you lost the carriages. Do as you see fit." Chapter 3770. Chapter 3770. Vomiting Blood 1. Chapter 3770. Vomiting Blood 1. Gao Mingquan cried out and spat out a mouthful of blood. Somehow, he found the strength to stand up. Sensing the change in Gao Mingquan's attitude, the second son felt intimidated. He glared at Gao Mingquan. "What now? I'm your second eldest brother. Are you going to defy me now?" Gao Mingquan stood there unsteadily and smirked at his second brother. The second son gave the oldest one a pleading look and tried to ask the latter for support. The eldest son stepped out and frowned. "Let's treat Mingquan's wounds first. But where can we find the medicine?" The second son shook his head. The eldest son frowned. "We have to treat him even if I don't have any medicine. Here are my clothes. Tear it into strips and bandage Mingquan's wound." He then took off his top, tore it into pieces, and bandaged Gao Mingquan's wounds himself. Gao Mingquan was going to leave, but his brother stopped him. Moreover, he was too severely injured to leave, so he had to stay. "What are we going to do now?" Everyone turned to the eldest son for help. The eldest son frowned. "What do you think we should do?" The third son said, "No matter what, we have to get our luggage back, and the food and the carriages." His wife said, "That's right. It belongs to our family. We can't let them take those things away." The eldest son glanced at her. "Are you going to take it back yourself?" "Well," the fierce couple stopped talking altogether. "Well, we can let Ming Jiang do that," the third daughter-in-law mumbled. "He was able to take our horses back from those people, and he can do the same now." "That's right. Let's go find Ming Jiang." Old Mrs. Gao was furious. No, she had made it clear that she had fallen out with her unfilial fourth son. "Mom, are we going to starve to death just like that? Do you know how far we have to go?" Her three sons glared at her, and there was nothing she could do. Just like the old lady herself, those sons could be ruthless to their family members. "Where's your brother? Take us to him." Everyone looked at Gao Mingquan. Gao Mingquan knew that he had to go to Gao Mingjiang now. After all, they were all family. Seeing how miserable they were, his brother would probably give in. "I know where my brother is. I'll show you the way." Gao Mingquan's right arm was broken, but his legs were fine, so he could still walk. He led the team, and the others followed him. At first, they were all high-spirited and only wanted to catch up with Gao Mingjiang, so they ran as fast as they could. But they were lazy people in nature. As they grew tired, their high spirits soon faded. They had been traveling in carriages the whole time and had never needed to walk on their own. "I'm starving, I'm so thirsty, I'm so tired." Many of them were frustrated. Before long, The third daughter-in-law couldn't take it anymore. She sat down on the ground and said, "I'm not taking one more step. I'll die if I keep going." As soon as she sat down, the others sat down as well and didn't want to move. Chapter 3771. Chapter 3771. Vomit Blood 2. Chapter 3771. Vomit Blood 2. As soon as the third daughter-in-law sat down, the others sat down as well and wouldn't move a muscle. They were in a sorry state. They were covered in sweat, and they were hot, thirsty, and exhausted. "I can't walk anymore. I can't feel my legs. My carriage." The third daughter-in-law started crying. Her second sister-in-law looked exhausted as well. Seeing this, she couldn't help but ask, "Our carriages have been fine this whole time. Why was it stolen last night?" The third daughter-in-law said, "It's all because Mingjiang is gone. If he's here, these thieves won't dare to pick on us." Her second sister-in-law nodded. "It's all Mingjiang's fault." However, before she could finish, the third daughter-in-law asked, "What did you say?" Her second daughter-in-law said, "Am I wrong? It's all Mingjiang's fault. He left us behind." It was already evening, and they had been walking for most of the day without any food or water. They were all exhausted. However, the third daughter-in-law suddenly jumped up and slapped her sister-in-law. There was a crisp smack. The second daughter-in-law was dumbfounded. "You," the third daughter-in-law said, "you've reminded me. Why did Mingjiang leave? It was all because of you. If it hadn't been for what happened earlier, would his family have left?" The second daughter-in-law felt a little guilty. "What are you talking about? What did I do? I only tried to borrow the duvet. What did I do? Borrow a duvet? You were fine when there was no duvet around. Why did you have to borrow one now? You make it sound like you've never tried to take things from Mingjiang before. You took advantage of them just the same. Not only won't you admit your mistake, but you're also blaming me. Wang. Suehua, I'm going to make you pay. Wu Saimiao, I'm not afraid of you." The two of them ran into each other and started tearing each other's hair. It was a fierce fight. The two of them used to be on friendly terms because they had worked together to set up Li, their common enemy. However, now that Li was gone, the two of them started fighting. "Stop it. Aren't we having enough trouble already? Stop it." The eldest daughter-in-law was speechless. She didn't know what to do because no matter which one she tried to stop, it would be like she was siding with someone. "Mother, aren't you going to do something about it?" She turned to the old lady for help. The old lady had a cold look in her eyes, and no one knew what she was thinking. As for her sons, they had all gone out to look for food, saying that they were going hunting. No one knew when they would be back. The two daughters-in-law were finally tired. They lay on the ground and gasped for air. No one made a sound, and no one knew what the others were thinking. The first day, they survived the cold and starvation. The second day, they woke up from their despair and resumed their journey. But they still couldn't find Gao Mingjiang's family. They were so hungry that they couldn't see straight. If only Mingjiang was here. If Mingjiang were here, we wouldn't be like this. If it hadn't been for brother Mingjiang, we would have been in this state 2 days after we set out, Gao Mingquan said indifferently. No one said a word. Brother Mingjiang saved our lives. You knew that, but you just wouldn't admit. Chapter 3772. Chapter 3772. Plague 1. Chapter 3772. Plague 1. Gao Mingquan glared at them. "You just won't admit it. You've been giving him a hard time, bullying him, and stealing from his family. If I were my brother, I would have abandoned you already. I wouldn't have waited until now." Before, none of the others would admit that. But now, without Gao Mingjing, they were all starving. Their legs were unsteady, and they were so thirsty that they thought their mouths were on fire. All they wanted to do was cry. The third son said, "But where is Mingjing? Where is my brother?" The second son said, "If we find Mingjing, I won't take advantage of him anymore." The others nodded as well and pleaded, "Where is Mingjing? I know we deserve this, but he has abandoned our mother as well." Gao Mingquan said indifferently, "Who knows? I didn't catch up with him either." Hearing that, the others lost all hope. They hadn't eaten anything in 3 days. When they were hungry, they would eat the grass on the ground, but the grass was dry, and they spat it out as soon as it hit their mouths. "Look, there's a rat!" The third son suddenly shouted and dashed off. There was indeed a rat a short distance away, but it was obviously dead and already stank. But for the sake of a dead rat, the brothers almost tried to kill one another. Old Mrs. Gao sat on the ground and cried, but there was nothing she could do. "Let's make some soup for everyone with this rat." They carried the pot with them earlier, so it wasn't stolen with the carriage. Gao Mingkuan frowned. "No, it's a dead rat. You can't eat it. You'll get sick." However, the people of the Gao family were so hungry that they couldn't see straight. They didn't care if they would get sick. If they didn't eat, they would die. Hence, the dead rat was thrown into a pot, and everyone drooled over it. Gao Mingkuan couldn't let that happen. Hence, when no one was looking, he kicked the pot and spilled the soup. "Arg, my rat meat." The Gao family was furious and tried to take the rat meat. However, Gao Mingkuan picked up the rat and ran as fast as he could. He then tossed the rat into a creek in the distance. The Gao family was so hungry that they couldn't run as fast as Gao Mingkuan. It took them a while to catch up with him. "Where's my rat? Where is it?" They surrounded Gao Mingkuan and were worried sick. Gao Mingkuan pointed into the distance. There, a dead rat was indeed lying in a creek a short distance away. It was a dead rat with a tempting smell. But the creek was deep in the valley, so they couldn't go down. The third son, who was starving, smacked Gao Mingkuan on the head. "Why did you do that? I'm going to kill you. That's our life-saving meat. How could you throw it away? Gao Mingkuan, I hate you so much. Why can't you be dead? You're going to get us all killed." Everyone was blaming Gao Mingkuan, including old Mrs. Gao, who was hitting him with the pot. Gao Mingkuan said stubbornly, "It's a dead rat. You can't eat it. It'll kill you." "Who told you that?" Just then, Chapter 3773, Chapter 3773, Plague 2. Chapter 3773, Plague 2. Just then, 2 people showed up at the foot of the mountain. Both of them wore tattered clothes and looked as filthy as beggars. They found the dead rat. The 2 of them were over the moon and immediately picked it up. They divided the meat into 2 halves and stuffed it into their mouths. The Gao family was so jealous. The eldest son glared at Gao Mingkuan. "Look, someone has eaten rat meat. Why can't we eat it?" "That's right. We've been starved for days. What's wrong with eating some rat meat?" "Gao Mingkuan, are you trying to starve us to death?" "Fine, we won't eat rat meat, but you have to make us something to eat." Gao Mingkuan blushed and wanted to retort, but he couldn't. He only mumbled, "You can't eat it. You just can't." "Who told you that?" "I heard Miss Feng talking about it with Brother Mingjiang," said Gao Mingkuan. "It's that Feng girl again." The third daughter-in-law flared up at the mention of that name. "She's such a troublemaker. If it hadn't been for her, Li would never have been so stubborn. Mingjiang would never have fallen out with us because of his wife's pillow talk. It's all Feng's fault." Gao Mingkuan glanced at her. "Sister-in-law, you still haven't realized your mistake, and you're still blaming other people. I don't think anyone will help you when you starve to death." His sister-in-law stared at him. "What did you say?" Since Gao Mingkuan had made it so clear, he couldn't say anything else. He only smirked and said, "You can savor what I said." After that, Gao Mingkuan sat down on the side and didn't say another word. The Gao family didn't find any dead rats anymore, because even those were in high demand. They couldn't just find them everywhere. They had to dig up wild grass and vegetables, as well as white clay, to keep themselves alive. "Come, let's go find Mingjiang. We'll only survive if we find him." They struggled to their feet and stumbled forward, shouting Mingjiang all the way. Occasionally, carriages or ox carts would pass them and keep moving forward. Old Mrs. Gao burst into tears of jealousy. They used to have carriages as well, and Mingjiang had found them. As for the rest of her sons had been too busy taking care of their own families to care about her. Old Mrs. Gao missed Gao Mingjiang even more. She even saw that her sons all ate some wild fruit on their own, without leaving anything for her. That wasn't what Mingjiang was like back then. She would have starved to death if it hadn't been for Gao Mingquan's help every now and then. In the most difficult situation, they finally realized how good it was to have Gao Mingjiang around. If we find Mingjiang, I won't pick on him again. Actually, Feng is a nice girl. She's very lucky and knows how to pick up things. Not only that, but she also knows how to hunt. She has hunted rabbits before. It's been a while since I ate meat. My stomach, we don't even have any chaff, let alone meat. Seeing that they had finally changed their attitudes, Gao Mingquan went up to old Mrs. Gao said casually, "Mum, I think I saw Brother Mingjiang." "What?" The old lady was shocked. Chapter 3774, Chapter 3774, Meetup 1. Chapter 3774, Meetup 1. What? The other members of the Gao family were thrilled to hear that. Where is he? Just tell us where he is. Say it. They were already exhausted, but after hearing what Gao Mingquan said, they were all excited and almost jumped to their feet. Everyone stared at Gao Mingquan with eager eyes. Gao Mingquan cleared his throat. "If you can change your attitude, I'll take you to my brother. If you still behave like before, even if you can find him." The third son immediately said, "I understand. If we're still as greedy, hypocritical, and selfish as before, even if we find him, he'll still abandon us." Gao Mingquan thought, "So you know how greedy, hypocritical, and selfish you were." He looked at the others. The exhaustion and starvation had worn them out. They would agree to everything. The third daughter-in-law said, "I shouldn't have said those things. I shouldn't have bullied Mingjiang's family. They have been helping us all along, but I'm sorry." The others apologized as well and asked Gao Mingquan to tell them where Gao Mingjiang was. They had made up their minds. They would never let Gao Mingjiang leave when they found him again. Gao Mingquan glanced at his mother, who was the most stubborn one. She had always wanted to share wealth with her family because they were all her sons. Since Gao Mingjiang was doing better than his brothers, she wanted to share some of his wealth with her other brothers. "Old Mrs." Gao glared at Gao Mingquan. "Why are you looking at me? Am I that kind of old lady who can't tell right from wrong?" Gao Mingquan thought, "You really are that kind of person." The old lady knew by now that Gao Mingjiang was the only one she could count on, so she snorted. "After we find Mingjiang, I'll let you live separately. I'll stay with Mingjiang's family. As for the others, it's none of my business." "Mum," the other sons panicked. Just then, the eldest daughter-in-law tugged at her husband's sleeve and whispered, "Our top priority now is to find Mingjiang. We'll talk about the rest later." Her husband, "Mom, you can do whatever you want after we find Mingjiang. You'll call the shots." The eldest son turned to Gao Mingquan. "Can you tell me where Mingjiang is now?" Where was Gao Mingjiang? Led by Feng Wu, the fourth branch was living in a treehouse in the woods. On her way here, Feng Wu noticed that someone had set up an inescapable trap to catch her. If she had set out on her own or revealed a little spiritual essence, they would have caught her by now. Luckily, she was with the team and was still safe. As for the Gao family, Feng Wu looked at Gao Mingjiang and knew that he wouldn't stop caring about them. Before he left with his family, he was more aggrieved than angry. After everything he had put in, his mother was still biased, and his brothers were still picking on him. No one could stand that, but when he calmed down again, he was a little worried. What do you think will happen to them? Under the treehouse, Gao Mingjiang was making charcoal according to Feng Wu's instructions, while he was busy making bacon. Chapter 3775, Chapter 3775, Meetup 2. Chapter 3775, Meetup 2. Li glanced at Gao Mingjiang and asked indifferently, "What do you think they'll?" Gao Mingjiang asked. "Mingquan is with them. I think they'll be all right." Despite that, he still climbed up the tree again. It had been so long, but they still hadn't arrived. They only traveled for 2 days before taking camp here, and they had only covered about 50 kilometers. It had been 3 to 5 days since he left the others. Where were they? Could something have gone wrong? Gao Mingjiang frowned. Li heaved a long sigh. I knew it. You're not heartless. You still care about them. Gao Mingjiang smiled bitterly. After all, they're my mother and brothers. Even if they're unkind to me, I can't just ignore them. Li said, that's why we've been waiting here. We're only 2 days' ride from them. Without you, they'll have a hard time. That way, they won't be so unreasonable when we meet again. Gao Mingjiang said, I thought the same. I've told Mingkuan how to get here. You should have brought them here already. The two of them were perplexed, but Feng Wu knew the answer. Little Phoenix had snuck out and told Feng Wu what happened in the Gao family. Feng Wu was dumbfounded. The carriages were stolen, the luggage was taken, and there was no food. With a whole family of lazy people, it was so frustrating just to think about it. However, the Gao family would never forget this lesson. Feng Wu didn't care if the Gao family traveled with them. In terms of living comfortably, it would be best if the Gao family weren't around. However, to stay safe, the more people there were, the less likely Feng Wu would be spotted. Therefore, she didn't mind having the Gao family with them. Therefore, when Gao Mingjiang turned to Feng Wu for help, Feng Wu said indifferently, don't worry, they'll be here soon. After some thought, Feng Wu said, make some porridge. I don't think they'll have the stomach for pancakes. Gao Mingjiang and Li nodded. Feng Wu's capability in the past few days was enough to impress them and make them follow her orders. In the past few days, Feng Wu had gone hunting, made charcoal, and found a place for the cabin. Her ability to survive in the wild was unmatched. Feng Wu had hunted countless animals and even caught a boar. The whole family was over the moon. Normal people wouldn't dare to go into the woods. Even Gao Mingjiang wouldn't survive. However, Feng Wu went in and came back with a pile of games. However, Feng Wu still reminded him to give all the credit to Gao Mingjiang, and she only wanted to be an inconspicuous nobody. Leah cleaned up the wild boar and turned it into dried meat. She then put each piece in a sack so that they could take a bite when they were hungry. It was getting cold, so the meat could last for a long time. Meanwhile, the Gao family was 5 kilometers away and was at a loss. They were dumbfounded when they saw the dead bodies on the ground. The dead bodies were obviously rotten and gave off a foul smell. Just then, 2 people staggered out. Their faces were scarlet red, and they couldn't stop shaking. Chapter 3776. Chapter 3776. Contagious 1. Chapter 3776. Contagious 1. The third daughter-in-law of the Gao family cried out, why do these 2 people look so familiar? Her husband said grumpily, of course they do. They're the 2 people that took the rat meat. Everyone took a look and saw that it was true. What's wrong with them? The third daughter-in-law cried out. Why do they look sick? And they're coming our way. What do they want? Wrapped in thin, worn cotton, the 2 men were stumbling toward the Gao family as if they were going to fall at any moment. Please give us something to eat. Seeing how pitiful they were, the eldest daughter-in-law felt sorry for them. She took a vegetable pancake out of her chest pocket and was about to hand it to them when Gao Mingkuan cried out, don't touch them. The eldest daughter-in-law glared at Gao Mingkuan. Mingkuan, you're so mean. However, Gao Mingkuan cut her off. Fall back. Everyone fall back. He's been infected by the plague. Don't let him touch you. The plague? How is that possible? However, before they realized what was going on, the person who had been stumbling around suddenly found the strength to throw himself at them. He wrapped his arms around the eldest daughter-in-law's thigh. Ah! She screamed. Gao Mingkuan and the eldest son tried their best to help her. But that person wouldn't let go. Ouch! Not only did he hold her thigh, but he also bit down and blood gushed out. The eldest daughter-in-law panicked. She could still hear Gao Mingkuan's voice in her head. Plague, plague, plague. She was so frightened that she fainted. Gao Mingkuan took out a rod and smashed it down on the head of the man, holding the eldest daughter-in-law's thigh. The man swayed and finally let go. The eldest son quickly dragged his wife to the side. Upon closer inspection, he saw that there was a row of tooth marks on her ankle, and blood was oozing out. And it was black blood. What kind of toxin was that? Seeing that his friend had been killed, the other man spat at the Gao family. I'm going to infect you. Caught off guard, the women of the Gao family were spat all over their faces. Gao Mingquan had been chasing the man, but because of his injury, it wasn't easy to catch up with him. Moreover, this person had some martial arts skills, which made it even harder for Gao Mingquan to hit him. Gao Mingquan shouted at his brothers, "What are you waiting for? Standing around won't stop him. Fight him if you want to protect your wives and children." The Gao brothers were indeed very timid and didn't dare to go near the infected person. However, Gao Mingquan was right. If they didn't join the battle, none of their wives or children would be safe. Hence, all four sons joined hands and finally defeated the man. However, my face, my hand, does he really have the plague? What are we going to do? Mom, is the plague really that bad? The others asked old Mrs. Gao, the oldest of them all. Old Mrs. Gao had been through a lot. She had heard about the plague before. Chapter 3777. Chapter 3777. Contagious 2. Chapter 3777. Contagious 2. Old Mrs. Gao's face was ghastly pale. She didn't want to believe it. That's impossible. How can they have the plague? That's impossible. That's not true. She shook her head. But, Mom, Gao Mingquan wanted to say something, but the old lady cut him off. No one is allowed to talk about it. And you? She glared at Gao Mingquan. Don't tell Mingjiang anything after we find him. Gao Mingquan said, Mom, if that's the case, we won't be able to find Brother Mingjiang. You, old Mrs. Gao hit him with her stick. But Gao Mingquan remained unperturbed. Mother, if that's the case, I won't take you to him. The old lady knew that if Gao Mingquan didn't show them the way, they would never be able to find Gao Mingjiang. Are you going to watch your brothers die? The old lady was so angry that she was almost in tears. Gao Mingquan looked from the sorry state of the Gao family to the old lady without saying a word. The old lady told Gao Mingquan to lead the way, but he shook his head and refused. The old lady was furious. The eldest son glared at Gao Mingquan. We don't have to go, but you need to talk to Mingjiang. If he agrees to take us in, I'll listen to him for the rest of my life. The other two sons also looked solemnly at Gao Mingquan, indicating that they would do the same. Gao Mingquan frowned. It's very likely that we've been infected. If we get in touch with Brother Mingjiang now, we may infect him and his family. So I'm not going. Old Mrs. Gao had no choice but to compromise. Go ask him on your own. If he wants to come, that's all the better. If he doesn't want to come, we'll leave him to his fate. Gao Mingquan looked at the others. There was hope, sadness, and regret in their eyes. Right now, they were probably all regretting parting with Gao Mingjiang's family. If they didn't go through this, they would never repent. At that thought, Gao Mingquan rose to its feet. All right, I'll go find my brother. You guys wait for us in the valley. As for these two people, set them on fire before. It was very likely that they had contracted the plague. The eldest son nodded. Off you go. We'll do it. Gao Mingquan quickly left. Old Mrs. Gao looked at her eldest son, dropping hints. Boss Gao smiled bitterly. Mom, it won't make any difference even if we follow Mingquan. If Mingjiang really doesn't want to come, what can we do? Old Mrs. Gao burst into tears and was filled with despair. As a matter of fact, she knew better than anyone else that those two people had to have the plague. When she was little, there was a plague in the village once, and more than 70% of the population died. Why are we so unlucky? Old Mrs. Gao burst into tears. The third daughter-in-law said, if we hadn't chased them away, we wouldn't have been reduced to this state. The second daughter-in-law said, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have tried to take advantage of them. I thought we were all family, so what if he lost a little? He was forced to leave. It's all my fault. Chapter 3778. Chapter 3778. Found him, 1. Chapter 3778. Found him, 1. Because Gao Mingquan already knew where his brother was, and they weren't too far apart, he soon found the latter. Brother Mingjiang, standing some distance away, Gao Mingquan looked up and shouted at a cabin. The family had been building a cabin when he last saw Gao Mingquan. It was finished and was buried in the thick growth of leaves. Neither the sun nor the rain could touch it, and it was indeed very comfortable. Feng Wu knew that Gao Mingquan was here when she heard his footsteps, but she didn't move. Right now, she was recuperating, for she knew that the journey to the northern Yin kingdom would only get more dangerous. Hearing his brother's voice, Gao Mingjiang jumped off the treehouse. Mingquan, Gao Mingjiang sounded both excited and anxious. After all, they were family, and Gao Mingjiang had no intention of abandoning them. He had done that because he wanted the old lady and the others to know how difficult it was to survive on their own so that they wouldn't make trouble for him in the future. It had been a few days, and he wondered how they were doing. Gao Mingquan didn't go any closer, but stood some distance away. Gao Mingjiang ran as fast as he could, but Gao Mingquan waved him off. "Brother, stay away from me." "Mingquan, what's wrong? What happened?" Gao Mingjiang panicked when he saw his younger brother, who was covered in wounds, had a bruised face, and was limping. "Stay away from me. I may have caught the plague." Seeing that Gao Mingjiang was coming, Gao Mingquan stumbled back. "The plague?" Gao Mingjiang frowned and asked anxiously, "What's going on? Is the situation out there so bad already?" Gao Mingquan didn't waste any time. He quickly told his brother what happened. Li and her children stood by Gao Mingjiang's side and were dumbfounded. "Someone has taken the carriages? And all the food? And the luggage too? How did that happen?" Gao Mingjiang and Li looked at each other in bewilderment. When they heard that the others were fighting over the dead rat, Gao Mingjiang's family was in tears. "It was all my fault. I shouldn't have. Gao Mingjiang's eyes were filled with tears. Li took Gao Mingjiang's arm. "No, it's all my fault. I was narrow-minded. That's why. I... Seeing that Gao Mingjiang and his wife were blaming themselves, Gao Mingquan said bitterly, "Brother, that's what we're facing now. What do you think we should do?" Gao Mingjiang said, "I'll go with you." Li said, "I'll go with you too." But Gao Mingjiang shook his head and said affirmatively, "No, what if you and the kids catch the plague? I can't let that happen." Li looked at Gao Mingjiang with teary eyes. "But if you're killed, how am I supposed to live?" Gao Mingjiang tried to appease her. "What if it's not the plague? Don't worry. Even if it is, I'm healthy enough to pull through. My mom has given you and the kids a hard time, and you're too weak to survive it." He was going to follow Gao Mingquan after that. Just then, Feng Wu sighed. "It's a mess out there. Why don't we let them come here?" Chapter 3779. Chapter 3779. Found him, too. Chapter 3779. Found him, too. As for whether or not it was the plague, Feng Wu could tell right away. Only then did Gao Mingjiang remember that he had a genius doctor with him. Gao Mingjiang finally knew how capable the girl was. But Gao Mingquan didn't know that, so he frowned. What if this place is infected? Hearing Feng Wu's words, Gao Mingjiang was relieved. "Great, we'll bring them here." After that, Gao Mingjiang left with his brother. Gao Mingquan was still worried. After walking for a while, he frowned and asked, "Brother, are we really going to take them back? What if?" Gao Mingjiang waved him off. "Don't worry. With what Feng said, you can rest assured." Gao Mingquan smiled bitterly. The plague could wipe out an entire city. The plague should have come from Maple Leaf City. Gao Mingquan looked at Gao Mingjiang in concern. "If Northern Yin knows about it, will they still let us?" Gao Mingjiang was baffled for a moment before he realized the same thing. If Northern Yin knew about this, the city gate would be closed and no one would be allowed inside. "Let's go." At that thought, Gao Mingjiang quickened his pace. "Take my mother and the others to the treehouse. Treat them if they're sick. If they're not, we should be on our way. If we're late, it'll be like you said." We'll be locked out of the city. The two brothers took the carriage, so they moved very fast. It only took them 15 minutes to get there. The Gao family almost lost their minds when they saw the carriage. Old Mrs. Gao, who had been lying down, almost jumped to her feet. It's him. He's here. The Gao family rushed forward in excitement, except for the eldest daughter-in-law, who couldn't move. Gao Mingjiang drove the carriage closer, jumped off, and walked up to the old lady. Mother, something seemed to occur to old Mrs. Gao, and she stumbled back. Mingjiang, back off. Quickly. You'll catch it. Gao Mingjiang was touched. Before, his mother wouldn't have stayed away from him, but forced him to save her brothers. Mom, Xiaowu has told me everything on the way. It's an emergency. Let's go back to the woods first. After that, Gao Mingjiang tried to help her into the carriage. But the old lady still struggled. Does your wife know you're out here like this? Isn't she mad at you? This is such a nice carriage. What if you catch the plague? Only after losing the carriages, then did she realize how precious a carriage was. She would rather die than lose it again. Gao Mingjiang smiled bitterly. A carriage isn't as important as a human life. We don't have enough space. If you're too weak to walk, get in. If you can walk, just tag along. We're running out of time. The second and third daughters-in-law looked at each other, and both saw guilt in each other's eyes. Mingjiang. As soon as they started talking, Gao Mingjiang waved him off. Guys, we'll talk about it later. His sisters-in-law nodded. Although they didn't say anything, they were very touched. If they were in Gao Mingjiang's place, would they come back to save the others when they knew that they might be infected by the plague? Where's my eldest sister-in-law? Gao Mingjiang realized that someone was missing. Chapter 3780. Chapter 3780. Rescue. Chapter 3780. Rescue. Where's my eldest sister-in-law? Gao Mingjiang realized that someone was missing. The eldest son immediately said, She's here. Your sister-in-law was trying to give someone some food, but that person bit her. She was worried that she might catch the plague, so she wrapped herself up like this. Seeing his sister-in-law bundled up in the carriage, Gao Mingjiang rubbed his forehead. Feng Wu arrived at that moment and was rendered speechless by what she saw. Feng Wu didn't want to attract too much attention, so she checked the eldest daughter-in-law's pulse when she was helping her to her feet. Judging by her pulse, it really was the plague. Feng Wu looked at the crowd. She knew that if she stayed here with them, she could be stopped outside the city wall. However, she knew that she had to save these people. Right at that moment, there was a loud bang in the sky. It was so loud that the mountains and rivers seemed to shake. It was as if an earthquake had taken place. What happened? What happened? Members of the Gao family were shocked. They were bewildered and flustered. They were so exhausted that they couldn't take much more. But now, large chunks of rock rolled down the slope. They were on a gentle slope at the bottom of the hill and would be easily affected. Boom! There was another loud noise, which made them uneasy. Is there an earthquake? Have we run into one? After finally finding Gao Mingjiang, the old lady and the others were still eating porridge. Although they were unsteady on their feet, they still held their bowls so that they wouldn't break them. Gao Mingjiang jumped onto a tree and looked into the distance. Meanwhile, Feng Wu was talking to Little Phoenix. Capable cultivators are fighting. Little Phoenix was pleasantly surprised. I think it's Jun Linyuan. Feng Wu was ecstatic. Jun Linyuan. Was he here? Standing on top of a tree. Feng Wu couldn't see clearly because of the shaking ground. Even so, she could still see two black dots fighting in the distance. At the top of the mountain. That was right. It really was Jun Linyuan. He really was here. However, Feng Wu recalled that a lot of people were after her. There were the northern Yin Kingdom, the Dongsang Kingdom, and the Tunwu Empire. Feng Wu had no idea why she was in such a miserable state, but it was reality. Who's the one fighting Jun Linyuan? Feng Wu asked. Little Phoenix shook its head. I don't know, but it's a quite capable person. Feng Wu couldn't agree more. Jun Linyuan was already very capable, and even General Shuiji of the Dongsang Kingdom wasn't his match. The fact that Jun Lin Yuan was able to fight him to a standstill showed how capable the other person was. Shit, Little Phoenix cried out. Even if Little Phoenix didn't cry out, Feng Wu could still see it. She saw a person flying toward Jun Lin Yuan's battlefield and joined hand with the first one to fight Jun Lin Yuan. Feng Wu said, "How can they do that?" Jun Lin Yuan was supposed to be on par with the first person, but with the addition of another capable cultivator, Jun Lin Yuan was in grave danger. Feng Wu narrowed her eyes and clenched her fists. Chapter 3781. Chapter 3781. Jun Lin Yuan. Chapter 3781. Jun Lin Yuan. Feng Wu narrowed her eyes and clenched her fists. Just then, Gao Mingjiang raised his voice. Feng Wu knew what he said. He told her to come back as soon as possible. But Feng Wu didn't want to. Was right here, and he had to be here for her. How could she walk away from him? Right now, Feng Wu regretted the fact that she barely had any cultivation ability left. Even so, Feng Wu still ran toward the top of the mountain. Her action frightened the others. Gao Mingjiang stared at Feng Wu in disbelief. She was gone. Not only wouldn't she back off, but she was also charging forward. "Little Feng, come back here." Exasperated, Gao Mingjiang tried to drag Feng Wu back, but Feng Wu was too fast. She ran through the woods like a cheetah and was soon out of sight among the thick leaves. Only then did Li realize what had happened. She rushed over and asked, "Where's Feng?" After interacting with Feng Wu for the past few days, Li genuinely considered Feng Wu to be her niece. She was worried sick when Feng Wu went missing. Gao Mingjiang frowned. "She's gone in." Li was so anxious that she burst into tears. Why? Where's Xiaoshu?" Li said anxiously. "Xiaoshu is missing. When did he run off?" "Sonya, where's your brother?" Sonya sounded like she was going to cry. "He said he was going to fetch some firewood when we heard my grandmother and the others were coming. There was no firewood, so I told him to wait for me. I would go with him after I relieved myself, but he was gone in a moment." Li said, "Little Feng must have found out that Xiaoshu was missing and went to look for her." My heart. The thought of her 2 children in danger almost gave her a heart attack. She wanted to run into the woods as fast as she could. "You can't go." Gao Mingjiang stopped Li and gave the job to Gao Mingkuan. "Stop your sister-in-law." After that, Gao Mingjiang was going to rush into the woods to save the 2 kids. Seeing this, the other 3 brothers of the Gao family realized that they couldn't let Gao Mingjiang leave. They dropped what they were eating and rushed over to stop him. "Mingjiang, don't. Calm down." "Calm down? He's my son." Gao Mingjiang threw off his 3 brothers' hands. The next moment, Gao Mingjiang charged into the woods like an angry bear. "Take care of my sister-in-law and the girl. I'll go find my brother." Gao Mingkuan dashed off as well. Soon, Gao Mingkuan was gone as well. The 3 brothers looked at one another in bewilderment. Why did it happen so suddenly? The old lady was much calmer. She had a bowl of porridge and a piece of sweet potato. She had recovered a little and could speak again. "Cut the crap. Let's get out of here and find a safer spot. Otherwise, we're going to die here." Meanwhile, Feng Wu ran in the direction of the battle after she ran into the woods. Little Phoenix's voice kept ringing in her ears. "You're out of your mind. Don't you know how weak you are now? Don't you know what level they are? Compared to them, you're as weak as an ant. How are you going to help anyone? You're going to get yourself killed." But nothing Little Phoenix said could stop Feng Wu. "He's here for me, and you want me to abandon him?" The more anxious Feng Wu was, the calmer her voice became. Chapter 3782. Chapter 3782. Battle on the Mountaintop. Chapter 3782. Battle on the Mountaintop. It was a fierce battle. Right now, Feng Wu couldn't get closer. Gravel kept rolling down the slope, and Feng Wu couldn't even stand still, let alone go up. "Fly me there," Feng Wu told Little Phoenix. Little Phoenix frowned and looked troubled. Your current cultivation level. They were still talking when they heard a smirk. Patriarch Zhua? Jun Linyuan's voice rang out. The Zhua family? The patriarch. Feng Wu remembered that the old master of the Zhua family had been killed by Jun Linyuan when he was in the Imperial capital. So, was this one the legendary patriarch? The old man removed the cloth covering his face and revealed his face. That's right. The old man stared at Jun Linyuan with an indecipherable look in his eyes. You're not dead. Jun Linyuan frowned and looked confused. The old man smirked. How can I die when the Junwu Empire has a talented young man like you? It was a creepy smile. That old monster isn't dead, is he? Patriarch Zhua smiled at the other man. It was a swordsman. He wore a bamboo hat, straw shoes, and a vine sword basket on his waist. Despite his simple appearance, he was very powerful. The middle-aged swordsman was the one who had fought Jun Linyuan to a draw. Patriarch Zhua glanced at him. Gui Tsulai, after all these years, you're still dressed like this. Gui Tsulai glanced at the patriarch with an emotionless face. He pointed his sword at Jun Linyuan. Make your move. Jun Linyuan shook his head. You're not as good as me. Gui Tsulai was furious, but he still pointed his sword at Jun Linyuan. Strike. He had drawn out his sword, but he hadn't forced Jun Linyuan to draw out his. Patriarch Zhua was on the side, ready to join the battle at any moment. Gui Tsulai glanced at the old man. Go away. Patriarch Zhua wouldn't have it. Why? I'll just stand here and watch. I won't interfere. After that, he crossed his arms and leaned back on the wall. But they both knew that the patriarch was only taking advantage of the situation. Gui Tsulai glanced at Patriarch Zhua and asked Jun Linyuan, shall we have the competition in a month at Norland? Norland was the capital of Northern Yen. Jun Linyuan nodded indifferently. Sure. Gui Tsulai frowned, glanced at the old man, and left. He came and went without a trace. Once Gui Tsulai was gone, Patriarch Zhua looked displeased. It was obvious that Gui Tsulai didn't want to see him here, so he had left. He had even made an appointment to fight Jun Linyuan at the top of Norland. Jun Linyuan glanced at the old man. Are you going to fight me? Jun Linyuan wouldn't be intimidated if the two of them joined hands, not to mention that there was only one of them left. The old man smirked. Let's fight. Feng Wu heard those last words when Little Phoenix carried her up the mountain. The battle at the top of Norland. And Jun Linyuan and Patriarch were flying away. Feng Wu said, they're gone? Just like that? The ground was covered with broken rocks, withered green plants, and they were disappearing into the distance. Feng Wu didn't know what to say. Jun Linyuan was right in front of her, and he was gone before she could say a word to him. She wondered how the battle would turn out. Chapter 3783. Chapter 3783. Gui Tsulai. Chapter 3783. Gui Tsulai. Feng Wu looked eagerly at Little Phoenix. But now the bird shook its head. No, it knew what Feng Wu meant. She wanted to go to Jun Linyuan, but that couldn't happen. Little Phoenix tried to persuade Feng Wu. All of Jun Linyuan's enemies are spiritual saints, and they can easily crush you. Apart from becoming his burden, there's nothing else you can do. You heard it yourself. The battle at the top of Norland is going to take place a month from now. Jun Linyuan is going to fight Gui Tsulai. Do you know who Gui Tsulai is? He's Master Juesha, one of the 4 kings of Northern Yen. He's known for his sword, Strike One. Do you know why his sword is called that name? Because he never makes a second strike. There's also the Zhua family's patriarch and other people hiding in the dark. Even if we can catch up with Jun Linyuan and find him, do you know how much pressure you'll put on Jun Linyuan just by showing up? You have the divine phoenix blood, and Jun Linyuan has the dragon phoenix blood. If the two of you really become a couple, what will it mean? Other forces won't stand by and do nothing. Xiao Wu, and you have to go to Norland, because you'll find something you really need there. Little Phoenix finally told the truth. Feng Wu frowned. Is that what Master Linghu was talking about? Little Phoenix nodded. Your master left it for you. You have to have it. Feng Wu nodded. She finally knew why Little Phoenix had led her to the Northern Yin Empire. So, although you didn't say it explicitly, you've been leading me to Norland, haven't you? Fengwu glanced at the bird. Ahem. Little Phoenix pretended that it didn't understand and looked away. Fengwu said grumpily, I knew it. You've recovered a lot of your memories from your previous life, but you wouldn't tell me. Little Phoenix sounded anxious. It's not that I don't want to tell you, but I can't. Fengwu asked, why not? Little Phoenix stomped its foot. Well, I just can't tell you. Seeing that Little Phoenix was worried sick, Fengwu let it go. So, it really couldn't tell Fengwu, could it? Would it harm its own life if it did? Fengwu gave Little Phoenix an excuse. I won't ask you, but you have to tell me everything in advance, Fengwu warned the bird. Little Phoenix nodded immediately. Fengwu mumbled, you're right. If I show up in front of Junlin Yuan now, I'll attract a lot of powerful enemies, and most of the capable cultivators of the Junwu Empire are fighting the Dongseng Kingdom. They won't have time to help us. Isn't the competition in a month? Let's go to see Junlin Yuan then. Moreover, she didn't know if Gui Tsulai would try anything funny, so Fengwu decided to check up on him in advance. At that thought, Fengwu was filled with enthusiasm. She told Little Phoenix, come, let's go to the Gao family. Little Phoenix looked at Fengwu in bewilderment. Aren't you going alone? She looked up at the sky and saw that people were monitoring the ground every now and then. She could sense a pair of eyes staring at this area. It was as if they could see everything. Chapter 3784. Chapter 3784. Let's go back one. Chapter 3784. Let's go back one. Let's go. Fengwu patted Little Phoenix. Only then did Little Phoenix let out a breath of relief. If Fengwu insisted on going to Junlin Yuan, there was nothing it could do. Little Fengwu and Little Phoenix quickly went down the mountain to find a boy crying on the ground. His face was covered with dirt, and Fengwu almost couldn't recognize him. It was none other than Gao Xiaoshu, the son of Gao Mingjiang. Xiaoshu, what are you doing here? Fengwu went up to him in a hurry, crouched down, and rubbed his head. It was obvious that the kid was frightened by what had happened. A stone had smashed into his head, creating a bloody gash. Fengwu wanted to pick him up, but realized that one of his legs was pinned down by a stone. Fengwu pushed the stone away and examined his right leg. His right leg was badly injured, but luckily, she had discovered him in time. Otherwise, Fengwu was worried that he would lose his leg. Sister, the boy looked excited. He buried his head in Fengwu's arms and cried even harder. Fengwu picked him up and asked, why are you here all by yourself? Where are your parents? Gao Xiaoshu was too busy crying and hiccuping to speak. Before Fengwu could ask another question, she saw two people a short distance away. One was Gao Mingjiang, and the other was Gao Mingkuan. With weapons in their hands and serious looks on their faces, they looked as if they weren't afraid of death at all. Rocks kept falling down as they wandered in the woods, and it was very dangerous. Uncle Gao, Fengwu greeted him. Gao Mingjiang had lost all hope. Gao Xiaoshu had been lost in the woods, and Feng had rushed in to save him. No one knew if they were still alive. Judging by how dangerous the woods were, they probably weren't going to make it. Gao Mingjiang was getting more and more desperate when he heard a pleasant voice. He froze on the spot and didn't dare to move, fearing that he was hallucinating. Gao Mingkuan nudged him in excitement. Brother Mingkuan, it's them. Look. Only then did Gao Mingjiang turn around, look at Fengwu, and see the boy in her arms. Xiaoshu. Gao Mingjiang was so excited that he almost passed out. He charged at Fengwu like a shooting arrow. You. Seeing that Gao Mingjiang was so excited that his lips were trembling, Fengwu knew that he was losing control. She stuffed Gao Xiaoshu into his arms. Xiaoshu's foot was caught by a rock, and he needs immediate treatment. It's too dangerous here. Let's get out first. Sure. Gao Mingjiang nodded at Fengwu in excitement. Little Feng, I can't thank you enough. If you need my help in the future, I'll do anything. Fengwu nodded. Let's go out first. On her way out, Fengwu grabbed a few herbs. When they arrived at the campsite, they saw that they were confronting a group of people. The bandits that had taken their carriages were standing right in front of them. The leader of the bandits was Ding, and he was heading for northern Yin with over a dozen men. They had been traveling from the south to the north to run away from the plague. Captain Ding and the others knew that they would only survive if they went to northern Yin. They had used up a lot of things on their way here, but now... Chapter 3785. Chapter 3785. Let's go back to. Chapter 3785. Let's go back to. Just when they were running out of provisions, they saw someone they knew. The Gao family. They had a carriage with them. Not only was there a carriage, but there was also a lot of food. There was even meat. Ding and the others were thrilled. You, move everything into our carriage. Mo Ping, Ding's most trusted subordinate, stepped out before Ding could say anything. The Gao family was furious. Gao Mingjiang imbued some martial arts, but he wasn't here. The remaining 3 sons were as weak as before. Seeing how scared the eldest son was, Mo Ping smirked. What? Are you going to fight back now? Come and take these carriages. They used to belong to your family, don't they? Those around him laughed after Mo Ping said that. The Gao brothers felt like they had been slapped. Infuriated, old Mrs. Gao couldn't take it anymore. She picked up the wok and slapped Mo Ping with it. With a thump, the old lady hit Mo Ping in the face. You old hag, how dare you? Mo Ping kicked the old lady away. Mom, Mom. Seeing that the old lady had closed her eyes, the others were worried sick. Just then, Mo Ping and the others started taking the food. With Feng Wu's help, Gao Mingjiang's family accumulated quite a lot of food. Not only are there steamed buns, but there's also dried meat. Guys, you're going to be in for a treat. Ding gave Mo Ping an appreciative look. Because of Mo Ping's sharp eyes, he immediately spotted the food hidden behind the rocks. Mo Ping's eyesight was unbelievable. Not only did he see food, but he also saw Li. Li's clothes were shabby as well, but she was pretty enough to catch Mo Ping's eye right away. Mo Ping glanced at Ding. Ding rubbed his chin. Mo Ping lowered his voice. Boss, she's a nice-looking woman. She's like a ripe peach, and she's so eye-catching. You can take her to bed at night and let her cook during the day. Ding nodded, liking the idea. Mo Ping stared at Li with his shifty eyes, and Li was terrified. The 3 brothers of the Gao family realized what was going on as well, and they pulled Li behind them. Mo Ping smirked. Do you think you could protect her? He then turned to Li. If you come with us, we won't kill them. If you resist, we'll kill them all. Li was filled with despair. The other members of the Gao family lost all hope as well. If Li was taken away, Gao Mingjiang would go berserk when he came back. Hence, the eldest son glared at Mo Ping and gritted his teeth. You can take the food in the carriage, but not her. Mo Ping smirked. I'm not making a suggestion. We want food, carriages, and her. After that, he tried to drag Li away. The Gao brothers wouldn't let Li go. However, Mo Ping wasn't alone. He had over a dozen capable brothers with him. Right now, they had all gathered around the 3 brothers. Gosh, I didn't know you could be so tough. You were so soft before. Chapter 3786. Chapter 3786. Suppression 1. Chapter 3786. Suppression 1. The 3 brothers weren't their match. They were bandits, and there were over a dozen of them. If the Gao brothers could defeat them, they wouldn't have lost the 2 carriages. Before long, the Gao brothers were lying on the ground with bruised faces. Didn't I tell you to hand it over as soon as possible? Otherwise, you won't be able to handle the consequences. Why do you have to go through such pain? Mo Ping glanced at the group of people in front of him with a taunting look on his face. He then grabbed Li with an evil smile. Come with us. At that critical moment, Li suddenly slashed down at her throat with a dagger. Gao Mingjiang had given the dagger to her for self-defense. She knew that she would wish she were dead if she went with these people, so she might as well die now. She moved so fast that Mo Ping didn't have time to react. Before he realized it, the dagger had cut Li's neck. How dare you? Mo Ping grabbed Li's arm and broke it. Because Li had no experience when she tried to take her own life, she missed the artery when she cut her neck. At that critical moment, whoosh, an arrow flew out. It pierced Mo Ping's heart. Everyone was astonished and turned to look behind Li. Feng Wu had a bow in her hand and a cold look in her eyes. It was obvious that she was the one who had shot Mo Ping. You! Ding was so shocked that he couldn't utter a word. By then, Feng Wu had drawn her bow again. This time, her target was Ding. Feng Wu knew that if she could kill Ding, the team would collapse. Someone in the sky glanced in their direction. Because it was a battle between ordinary people with no spiritual essence, the eyes didn't pay much attention to it. Little Phoenix was relieved and told Feng Wu, "He's gone." Feng Wu nodded slightly. It seemed that she had made the right choice by blending into the crowd. Otherwise, she would have been spotted very easily. Whoosh! The arrow flew through the air and aimed at Ding's face. Ding tried to dodge, but for some unknown reason, he couldn't move a muscle. Whoosh! The arrow was buried in Ding's heart. Oh God! Everyone was dumbfounded. Old Mrs. Gao stared at Feng Wu in astonishment. All she knew was that the little beggar was lucky, but she didn't know that she could shoot so well. The other members of the Gao family were astonished as well. Let's go. Gao Mingjiang took out an axe from behind his back and struck down all the enemies. Gao Mingjiang had practiced martial arts before. When he saw that the Gao family was almost destroyed and that his wife had been humiliated, he was furious. He charged at the bandits with an axe in his hand. Naturally, the bandits wouldn't wait for Gao Mingjiang to kill them. They tried to fight back. But Feng Wu was there to help. Whoosh! Arrows just kept coming. Seeing that Feng Wu didn't have enough arrows, old Mrs. Gao rushed over and began to pull the arrows out of Ding's body. Blood gushed out. Chapter 3787. Chapter 3787. Suppression 2. Chapter 3787. Suppression 2. On any other day, old Mrs. Gao would have been scared out of her wits. However, she couldn't care less now. Seeing this, the wives of the second and third sons rushed over to pull out the arrows as well. Feng Wu was so accurate that she could kill an enemy with each arrow she shot. Right now, she was running out of arrows. As expected, when Feng Wu reached into the quiver on her back again, she found nothing. Over here, holding the 3 arrows, old Mrs. Gao stumbled toward her. Poor old Mrs. Gao. She was still dizzy from Mo Ping's kick. She handed the arrows to Feng Wu and asked, "Will they work?" Seeing that the old Mrs. Gao was stumbling around, Feng Wu nodded solemnly. "Yes. Good, old Mrs. Gao's voice was trembling. It was both from the pain and how nervous she felt. By then, Feng Wu had picked up the bloody arrows and went on shooting. Ding's men weren't stupid. They panicked when they saw that over a dozen of their men had been killed. "It's you." Wang Yu stared at Feng Wu. 7 of the 10 dead bandits had been shot in the chest, 3 had been killed by Gao Mingjiang, and 7 were still alive. "3 of you, hold this man down. The rest, come with me and kill her." Wang Yu pointed at Feng Wu. "We can still win if we kill that archer. Otherwise, she'll kill us all." The others saw it as well and all nodded. The next moment, they all charged at Feng Wu. Gao Mingkuan rushed over, tripped Wang Yu, and beat him up on the ground. The other 3 couldn't care less about Wang Yu and kept running. Feng Wu kept shooting as she fell back. Another person fell to the ground. However, the 2 men were only 10 meters away from her. Their faces twisted. Once that person was dead, the rest of the team would be defenseless. Hence, she had to die. Little Phoenix, who was in Feng Wu's arms, said in resignation, "Tell me about it. What kind of battle is this? They're all rolling around on the ground and beating each other up. A battle between ordinary people is so boring." Not only couldn't Feng Wu use her spiritual essence, but the bird also couldn't use it either. As soon as little Phoenix flapped its wings, these people would be blown away. Feng Wu lowered her voice. Don't do anything. Little Phoenix mumbled, I know. There's a pair of eyes watching this land. I won't do anything. Well, look, they just think you're too weak to fight in close combat and want to kill you. As a matter of fact, although Feng Wu had lost her spiritual essence, she was still physically strong enough to defeat an ordinary man with a single punch. By then, the two of them had reached Feng Wu. Kill her. Both men grinned maliciously. Just then, two people rushed over and held the two criminals in their arms. They were none other than the second and third sons of the Gao family. Feng, do something, the third son bellowed. Infuriated, the bandit tried to stab the third son in the back. Feng Wu frowned a little. She grabbed the bandit's saber and slit his throat. The bandit couldn't believe his eyes when he hit the ground. Chapter 3788. Chapter 3788. Treatment 1. Chapter 3788. Treatment 1. All the bandits were taken care of. Seeing this, old Mrs. Gao let out a breath of relief and almost fainted. All the members of the Gao family were injured or sick, and they looked miserable. The three eldest sons were all injured. The eldest daughter-in-law's condition was unclear. Gao Mingjiang was fine, but Li was still bleeding from the cut on her neck. Gao Mingquan was covered with wounds, and so was old Mrs. Gao. The group of people consisted of the elderly and the sick. Feng Wu rubbed her forehead. Little Feng, Gao Mingjiang gave Feng Wu a pleading look. Feng Wu looked over her shoulder and saw that the battle was over, and the rocks had stopped falling. She told Gao Mingjiang, the slope is sheltered from the wind. Let's go there and treat your wounds. I'm going into the woods. Gao Mingjiang nodded immediately. Luckily, the bandits had left carriages behind, so Gao Mingjiang could take them there. As for where they were, it was too open for them to stay. That Feng girl is amazing. After Feng Wu left, the Gao family began to discuss among themselves. The third daughter-in-law said in disbelief, Did you see her using the bow? She's amazing. She killed a person with each arrow. The second daughter-in-law was still in shock. She had offended Feng Wu before. If the girl went berserk, no one in the Gao family would be her match. But what's she doing in the woods all by herself? Why hasn't she come back? Has she run away because of how burdened we are? The second daughter-in-law shook her head at the third daughter-in-law. That's not what she's like. The third daughter-in-law said, Why not? The second daughter-in-law said, If that's the case, she wouldn't have helped us. She would have left. With her capability, she can go anywhere she wants. Speaking of which, we've benefited a lot from her. The third daughter-in-law wanted to retort, but when she recalled the way the girl shot the arrows, she realized that Feng Wu was indeed a good hunter. But we're all injured. What are we going to do? Even the men of the Gao family wanted to cry, let alone the women. Gao Mingjiang said, We'll cook first, then treat the minor injuries. As for the more severe ones, we'll have to wait until Feng gets back. The other four sons all had superficial wounds, and Gao Mingjiang had brought some ointment with him, and it came in handy this time. Old Mrs. Gao was sitting there with her hands on her stomach and crying out in pain. Sweat covered her forehead. Mom, how do you feel? The old lady waved her off. She now saw that out of all her sons, only the fourth was useful. She drew in her breath in pain and told Gao Mingjiang, We'll set out as soon as Feng comes back. Gao Mingjiang said, But I can't say for sure, but a lot of people behind us have caught the plague and are heading for northern Yin now. We have to leave before the city is sealed off. Only then did Gao Mingjiang remember that. My eldest sister-in-law is old. Mrs. Gao looked at Zhao for a while before shaking her head. I don't know. We'll have to let her stay behind. Gao Mingjiang said, Mom. Old Mrs. Gao said coldly, Of course, we have to take care of healthy people first. If I'm the one infected, I'm going to stay behind as well. Those who are in good health, go to northern Yin now. Chapter 3789. Chapter 3789. Treatment 2. Chapter 3789, Treatment 2. At that point, she coughed violently. Mother, Gao Mingjiang cried out. Old Mrs. Gao blanched. Was she really infected? If that was the case. Instantly, everyone in the Gao family froze on the spot with grim looks on their faces. Fengwu came back at that moment. She came back with a broken pot she had found somewhere, and it was steaming. Little Feng, you're finally back. Gao Mingjiang let out a breath of relief when he saw Fengwu. What's this? Fengwu said, I picked some herbs. Since I had nothing better to do, I took some medicine. After that, Fengwu poured the gravy into some boiled water, stirred it a little, and told Gao Mingjiang, give everyone a bowl each. This medicine. Fengwu looked at him in bewilderment. Didn't I tell you before? It specializes in treating the rat plague. It can treat the sick and prevent infection if there's nothing wrong. Gao Mingjiang was worried about the plague, but Fengwu told him that it was solved. But the other members of the Gao family didn't believe her. The plague was going to kill them, and there was no such thing as a special potion. They would never believe what Fengwu said. Fengwu knew that this wasn't the time to reason with them, so she frowned at Gao Mingjiang. Gao Mingjiang and his family knew how capable Fengwu was, so they nodded and distributed the medicine. As a matter of fact, Fengwu didn't gather the ingredients just now. They couldn't be found here. It was a potion that Fengwu made beforehand, and she was only mixing them in the hot water now. As for whether or not it could treat the plague, of course it could. At Fengwu's level, the plague was nothing. After everyone drank a big bowl of medicine, Fengwu suggested that they should set out. Gao Mingjiang agreed. The sooner they reached Yu City, the better. Old Mrs. Gao was already having a fever, so she went to talk to Fengwu. Leave me and my eldest daughter-in-law behind. Fengwu looked at her in bewilderment. Old Mrs. Gao rolled her eyes at Fengwu. I know, you're the only one who can make decisions. That's why I'm here. Leave me and my daughter-in-law behind. Fengwu asked why. Old Mrs. Gao said, we're both running a fever. It's obviously a symptom of the plague. We're going to die, but you're still all right. We can't spread it to you or the people of Northern Yin. Fengwu gave her a strange look. Since when was the old lady so selfless? Old Mrs. Gao snorted. They're all my children, so of course I care about them. I've had enough. Just let them live. You guys can leave now. Fengwu chuckled. So, you know that you can't spread the plague to Northern Yin. Old Mrs. Gao snorted. All I know is that if we spread the plague to Northern Yin, even if we can get in, we'll be decapitated later. So, I'm going to wait here to die. Fengwu waved her off. Don't worry, it'll be all right. After that, she grabbed the old lady and dragged her into the carriage. Old Mrs. Gao was exasperated. Are you an idiot? Why did you do that? Fengwu chuckled. I told you already. You'll be all right after drinking my medicine. Chapter 3790. Chapter 3790. They're here, 1. Chapter 3790. They're here, 1. As expected, after drinking the potion Fengwu gave her, the eldest daughter-in-law, who had been running a high fever, gradually recovered. Fengwu chuckled. I told you already. My medicine is amazing. Unfortunately, no one believed her. How could there be such an amazing potion that could cure the plague? If there really was one, the Empire wouldn't have to worry about the plague so much. Everyone thought that Fengwu was only joking, except for Gao Mingjiang, who looked at Fengwu in amazement. He felt that his sister-in-law's symptoms were very similar to the plague. So, Feng's medicine worked, didn't it? Little Phoenix was complaining in Fengwu's head. You're so. They won't believe you after hearing what she said. No one will believe that you can treat the plague, nor will they thank you for it. Fengwu chuckled. I don't need them to give me any credit. Little Phoenix said, then you. Fengwu went on laughing. I didn't want them to know that I was the one who had saved them. That way, I would be able to blend into the crowd and join the team. Otherwise, I would be too outstanding. Little Phoenix agreed with her. Little Phoenix said, there are more patients coming. Are you going to save them or not? Fengwu shrugged. We're in the middle of nowhere, and there's nothing we can do. Even if we have a prescription, we won't know where to start. We'll have to wait until we're in Northern Yen. I'll then give them the prescription." As they spoke, they were getting closer and closer to Northern Yen. Gao Mingjiang came to tell Feng Wu, "We'll reach the border city in 2 days." Feng Wu nodded. They had been traveling as fast as they could. Occasionally, they would run into someone who had caught a fever, but it was getting rarer and rarer. Gao Mingjiang was elated when he saw they no longer run into people with symptoms. As long as they got there before those people did, they should still be able to get into the border city. "Shall we travel through the night, or?" Gao Mingjiang asked for Feng Wu's opinion. Feng Wu looked over her shoulder and saw that they had been traveling for 3 to 4 days and were exhausted. She waved at them. "Let's take a break for 4 hours. We still have some time." Gao Mingjiang thought the same, so he nodded and went to make the arrangement. The Gao family used to be very disobedient and would do whatever they wanted, but after Gao Mingjiang demonstrated what would happen when he was away, they realized that they couldn't survive without him. As a result, they didn't bully his family anymore, nor did they exploit Gao Mingjiang because he was their brother. They were all very obedient. Therefore, Gao Mingjiang handled things much more easily. Gao Mingjiang round a spot to let Tnim settle down. It just so happened that there were a lot of rocks here, so they chose a leeward spot where they could easily start a fire. Everyone had been eating dry food and drinking cold water for the past few days, and they had been feeling dizzy the whole time. As soon as they got off the carriages, old Mrs. Gao's legs gave out, and she almost fell. Feng Wu was the first to react. She picked her up and steadied the old lady. Feng Wu looked around. They were in a forest, which was very close to Northern Yen. It wasn't dry like the one in the south. Feng Wu took out her bow and arrow and said to Gao Mingjiang, "I'm going to take a look in the woods." "Be careful," said Gao Mingjiang. Chapter 3791. Chapter 3791. They're here, too. Chapter 3791. They're here, too. They weren't worried about Feng Wu, for she had demonstrated how good a hunter she was. To Feng Wu, hunting wasn't a problem at all. She could even hunt large beasts. With little Phoenix around, she wouldn't have any problem at all. However, she only managed to kill 2 rabbits in the end. She couldn't let her spiritual essence fluctuate or make a scene. Luckily, Northern Yin was already very close. Once they were in Northern Yin, she would be like a fish swimming in the sea. It would be very difficult for them to catch up with her. At that thought, Feng Wu smiled a little. Once they were out of the woods, Feng Wu saw that the others had started a fire and the water was bubbling. She handed one rabbit to Li and the other to Gao Mingjiang. While he stewed the fat rabbit with vegetables, Gao Mingjiang roasted the rabbit. Little Phoenix was anxious for Feng Wu. "We're almost there. I'm sure there will be an inspection." Feng Wu said, "I've been hanging out with the Gao family for so long, and I've been waiting for this inspection. Don't worry, I have a plan." Little Phoenix mumbled, "We've been trying to keep a low profile this whole time, and I'm so bored. This place is so uncivilized. I can't believe that I've lived like this for so long." Feng Wu chuckled. "When you were with my beautiful master, you were so high up in the air that you didn't know what the real world was like. This is a great opportunity for you to experience the real world. Maybe you'll learn something." Feng Wu then saw the look on Little Phoenix's face change. "What?" Feng Wu looked at Little Phoenix in bewilderment. Little Phoenix was giving Feng Wu a strange look. Feng Wu asked, "What's wrong?" Little Phoenix said, "You're right." Feng Wu said, "Are you going to?" Little Phoenix nodded. "That's right. I didn't think much of this trip at first, and even felt aggrieved, but with your guidance just then, I think I've really learned something incredible. No, I have to do it now. Protect yourself." After that, Little Phoenix entered the ring space through Feng Wu's sleeve and went into seclusion. It had a feeling that it was going to have an epiphany. It would be very impressive when it came out. Feng Wu was astonished as well. Little Phoenix had an epiphany just like that and was going to make a breakthrough. Feng Wu cleared her throat. That was good news, wasn't it? However, Feng was glad to hear that. After all, Little Phoenix was as capable as she was. If Little Phoenix had learned something, so did she, and it would only make her more enlightened. Feng Wu recalled what Master Ling Hu said earlier. Travel the world and comprehend it. What was it that he wanted her to comprehend? What would she get after she found Master Huyan? Somehow, Feng Wu was looking forward to this trip. Just then, they heard the sound of hooves. Although Feng Wu had lost her cultivation ability, she still had a sharp hearing. She could hear the sound of hooves. There was more than one horse. There had to be 3. As expected, 3 horses soon arrived. Feng Wu frowned when she recognized the 3 horses. Weren't they Princess Rao's maids? These people were known for their wanton killing. Chapter 3792. Chapter 3792. The Maids. Chapter 3792. The Maids. They arrived as fast as they could in their scarlet capes. Feng Wu wasn't the only one who had noticed it. Everyone else had their eyes on them. Gao Mingjiang's stomach lurched, and he told the others in a hurry, "Quickly, move to the side. Don't disturb the noble ladies." The others also recognized the 3 horses. Back at the checkpoint, if they hadn't run away in time, they would have been killed by now. The others didn't dare to look at them and only pretended to be busy, hoping that they would leave as soon as possible. Things didn't go as planned. They wanted these 3 people to leave, but the latter suddenly stopped. The girl named Saixia was the chief, maid working for Princess Rao. She stopped the horse and was the first to jump off. The members of the Gao family felt their stomachs lurch. They all lowered their heads and didn't dare to move. Miss Saixia was satisfied with what she saw. She was used to intimidating other people. She scanned the crowd with her cold eyes. Who's the leader here? They all looked at Gao Mingjiang. Gao Mingjiang stepped out. We're requisitioning this place. Get lost. She was chasing them away. However, the Gao family couldn't reason with these bossy nobles anymore. Gao Mingjiang nodded. All right. We're leaving now. Gao Mingjiang gave his friends a warning look, telling them to put the things in the carriage and leave. However, I said requisition. Do you not understand? Another girl behind Saixia asked in a cold voice. Gao Mingjiang said, What? I've requisitioned everything. Just get lost. The girl in the blue dress looked like she was going to lose her temper at any moment. Gao Mingjiang said, But we can't live without them. Well, that's interesting. How dare a commoner try to bargain with us? The girl in the blue dress clicked her tongue and glanced at Gao Mingjiang contemptuously. It's your honor that we even want to use your things. Now get lost. Just then, the third girl said, Sister Saixia, Sister Xilan, we need someone to take care of our horses and our food. It's not appropriate to chase them all away. How about we leave someone behind to look after us? Saixia agreed. She glanced at the crowd and frowned. These people were so filthy. They looked like beggars. It's your call. Saixia left it to Muley, while she sat down on a warm rock and began to cultivate. Muley looked around and pointed at Feng Wu. You stay here and serve us. The rest of you, seeing the frightened looks on their faces, Muley said grumpily, Do you really think we'll take your trash? When you come back in a few hours, you can have everything back. Fearing that Feng Wu would be bullied if she stayed, Li said in a hurry, My girl is a little clumsy. How about I take her place? Muley glanced at Li and said, You two stay here then. Seeing that Gao Mingjiang still wanted to say something, Muley noticed the impatient look on Saixia's face, so she frowned at Gao Mingjiang. Leave now. If you offend Sister Saixia, you'll all be killed. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.